Yeah, dense fog in the Cincinnati area this morning. It's gone right now. We'll set it now down to the sideline and welcome in the third member of our crew, Steve Tasker.
Kevin, the Cleveland Browns are going to look across the field today and see their former and recently fired head coach Hugh Jackson. Now, each of the players and coaches of the Browns owes him a debt of gratitude for their spot on the Browns team. Now, Cleveland fans may not stand in line to thank him for his 3-36-1 record as head coach, but for all of us who have suffered through an awkward Thanksgiving with family, friends, or distant relatives, we are in good company today because Hugh Jackson built the Browns to beat teams like the Bengals. And today the Browns will try and beat the Bengals with Hugh Jackson coaching against them for the Bengals. It is an awkward reunion in Cincinnati.
Steve, thank you. With a look at Greg Williams, the interim head coach. He was the defensive coordinator and still calls Rich the defensive plays for the Browns. So we've had the flip of the coin. The Bengals won. They've taken the second half kickoff. Browns will receive. And to boot it for the Bengals is Randy Bullock. And deep back is rookie free agent running back Dontrell Hilliard. And he'll bring it out with a dive. Hit by a couple on the play. Probably tripped up by Brandon Bell. 25-yard return. Put him at the 22. Which leads us to the Heisman Trophy winner out of Oklahoma, #1 overall pick, Baker Mayfield.
Well, this is our first opportunity to see Baker Mayfield live, Kevin, but I went back and watched every offensive snap that he's had so far for the Browns, and I've been really impressed. He's got a quick, compact release. He's decisive. He looks comfortable throwing the football from the pocket. I think he's really improved the last couple weeks since Freddie Kitchens has taken over the play calling duties on offense.
Bengals have 4 in the secondary. 1st and 10 for Mayfield. Screen pass with a block on the far side by Robinson. This is Chubb, who is brought down from behind by linebacker Jordan Evans. A catch and run of 23 to the 45 and a first down.
Well, really a good-looking screen off the play action. I think this is really where Baker Mayfield's at his best. They've got to find creative ways to get Nick Chubb the ball in space because he's not an easy tackle in the open field.
Bengals go to the nickel. 1st and 10. It's Chubb. And brought down by Denard, who came in off the side. It is a gain of 1 up to the Cleveland 46. Let's talk about the line. Rich, they made a change at left tackle a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, they get Greg Robinson in there, a bigger body, who's really going to help protect the blind side of Baker Mayfield.
And about these, you've already talked about Chubb. And Landry, of course, the main target there.
Yeah, they've got 3 rookies playing, Kevin, on offense, significant roles. Callaway, Mayfield, and Chubb.
180! What's up?
With a 2nd down and 9, here's a throw thrown in back of the receiver, but hauled in right there by Brashad Perriman. It is a gain of 6 on the play to the 48-yard line. Jackson with the stop. Let's talk about the defense. Rich, on paper, this line should be much better than they've produced so far.
It's a well-compensated group, Kevin, that has underperformed. They've got to play better up front.
Linebackers, Burfict will move from outside to inside today.
He's been dealing with the hip injury. Jordan Evans is going to play for the injured Preston Brown. Nick Vigil out as well. This is an area where they have really struggled defensively at linebacker.
Duke Johnson is in. 3rd down and 3. Johnson, Robinson a layup block. Landry trying to throw a block. And close to the first down, hit by a couple. The rookie Jesse Bates got over there, and Carlos Dunlap. It's a gain of 3. They're down to the 45. Looks like they got the first.
A little flip action to Duke Johnson, and good effort there at the end, extending the ball past that first down marker.
Running back to begin the season starting was Carlos Hyde. He began as a starting back. He was traded in mid-October. He's now gone, and so Johnson comes in on those passing downs, and Chubb is the mainstay, the rookie out of Georgia. It is 1st and 10 on the game-opening drive. Fake to Chubb, who releases. Nice block in there by Hubbard. Outside it goes here to Njoku, the tight end, who is brought down by the linebacker Burfict on a gain of 3, Rich, and he's down to about the 42 of Cincy.
Well, I really like Nick Chubb. You talked about the 92-yard touchdown run in the last game against Atlanta. He's averaging 6.2 per attempt, and since they made the trade, This guy has really played well. You look at those numbers since week 7. Chubb averaging over 100 yards a game on the ground for the Browns.
Now they have all 3 running backs in. Chubb, Hilliard, and Johnson. 2nd down and 7. A little bit low on the snap by Treader. Mayfield going long, and he's got his receiver at the 19-yard line. Grabbed on the play by Johnson. 23-yard catch down to the 19-yard line. That is a 1st down.
Well, play action gets it started, and you just watch the crossing route all the way across the middle of the field off of play action. And this is a nice hole in that secondary. As you look at Baker Mayfield, sees clearly between the corner and the safety. He's able to fit this one in.
Bates with the tackle. 4 of 4 to 4 different receivers for Mayfield to start things here from the 19. 1st and 10 is looking deep. You see the hesitation and the cross to Antonio Callaway. Near the 10, belted out of bounds by Williams. Catch and run of 9.
And Baker Mayfield told us last night the importance of getting off to a good start. Keep in mind the Browns have not scored an opening drive touchdown in their last 13 games. They've been slow starters on offense this season. They've got to be able to finish now down here in the red zone.
Rich, how about a couple of weeks ago against Atlanta? That offensive line did not allow a sack against that Falcon defense.
And that's so important when you've got a rookie quarterback back there. He's got to be able to be comfortable and trust the protection.
Hey, we got to go vertical. Now you got it.
2nd down, 1. Chubb is in there and gets the call. And Licky backpedals down for a gain of 2 to the 8. That's going to make it 1st and goal to go. And on this drive, Chubb with a 23-yard catch and run. A pass to Duke Johnson at 23. Moments ago, Rich Callaway caught one for 9.
Keep in mind, the last time this Cleveland offense played, they had a 211 rushing yards against Atlanta. What do you think they'll try and do today against the worst-ranked run defense in the NFL? Greg Williams knows they've got to be able to pound the football inside at this Cincinnati front 7.
4 in the secondary.
Hey, 5-5.
1st and goal. Blocked by Robinson. Off to Chubb. Linebackers and Williams will chase to the 1. Sean Williams caught up with him. Helped there by Evans, and Chubb finds 7 in a very congested area. And a player down. That's Bates. That's Williams. Excuse me. Williams down. He has been one of the players that has started most of the season. As you take a look at Hugh Jackson, who is assisting Marvin Lewis on the defensive calls and the management of the defense overall.
Well, they can't afford to lose Sean Williams. You know, you look at both these safeties, Jesse Bates and Sean Williams. They're the leading tacklers. It's never a good thing when your last line of defense is making all the stops. They need better production from their front 7 with respect to the run defense. But Sean Williams has, I think, been a real bright spot in this Cincinnati secondary.
Starter all season long. Williams led him in tackles last week against Baltimore. Had an interception in that game. And he'll walk off. Williams, another University of Georgia player. Fedulum will come in and take his place.
The Browns have scored just 75 first-half points so far this season. That's the second fewest. Only the Bills have scored less. And that's why Freddie Kitchens told us last night the importance of getting off to a hot start and playing with the lead on the road against the Bengals.
Rich, the tight end position for Cleveland seems to be one of importance as we take a look at Williams walking off.
Well, they have multiple tight end usage. They carry 5 on the roster. I think they've got 4 up today. They all have a very different role in this offense. And you look at Orson Charles, when you see him in there, he's usually lined up as the fullback.
2nd down, goal, Chubb, that is it. Chubb, let's see if he got through. Yep, he got in. Lead block, Batonio. 1-yard touchdown run, Nick Chubb. And they score on their first possession. third straight game, too, where the Bengals have allowed an opening drive touchdown by an opponent.
This is why you go out and get Nick Chubb in the draft. They love his physical running style and his ability to be able to create with his feet and his upper body strength between the tackles in these short yardage and goal line situations. As you mentioned, good looking pull by Butonio coming around from that left guard position, getting up on the linebacker and creating some space there for Nick Chubb.
Nick Chubb has just scored his 6th rushing touchdown. By the way, that's the 13th of the season for the Browns. Make it that is the 19th rushing touchdown this season for the Browns. 12th in the NFL, and the most through the first 11-plus games, Rich, going back 5 years.
How about Baker Mayfield on that drive, Kevin? 6 for 6, 71 yards, 5 different receivers. Chubb was impressive as well, not just running the ball, but catching the ball out of the backfield. Good-looking opening drive for the Browns.
This Mayfield is something else. Ball comes out quick with him, right, and he makes quick decisions, and out it comes. And we saw it on that drive. Greg Joseph will try the extra point. He has missed 2 this season. 7-0 Cleveland Browns. Chubb caught and ran, 1 for 23. Johnson caught a pass for 23. Callaway for 9. And a touchdown run of a yard for rookie Nick Chubb. Rich Chubb had 176 on the ground a couple weeks ago against the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, 406 yards and 4 touchdowns in his last 4 games. He runs with power and patience, and he's got that size and the build to be a high-volume runner. This is a guy that can certainly handle the workload for the Browns.
Greg Joseph will kick off for the Cleveland Browns. Erickson is deep. Alex will get it about the 5 on the fly. Taking the place today is a starting receiver for Green. Good cut outside, and there he goes. The kicker can't get him. A flag has been thrown, and he is brought down, it looked like, by Derek Kindred on a 35-yard return by Alex Erickson.
Holding.
It's a hold on Cody Core.
You saw it, huh?
I did.
From way up here, you saw it.
Well, I've got this little machine in the booth. It's a little replay deal. I shouldn't tell the folks listening at home, but
don't give away your secrets. You know, Jerome Boger, as you saw, is our referee today here in Cincinnati.
There are 2 fouls on the play, both against the receiving team. Holding. Number 16 of the receiving team is declined. Personal foul, illegal double team block. Receiving team number 89. Half the distance to the goal. First down, Cincinnati.
89, Matt Lenglen, you're right on Core. You caught that one from up here. Well, there's a look at Andy Dalton, Rich, and like we talked about, he has no A.J. Green today.
Yeah, but he's had some of his best games against the Browns. The last 6 games versus Cleveland, he's thrown 15 touchdowns, no interceptions. He's got an 11-3 all-time record against Cleveland. But as you said, Kevin, it's been a difficult stretch the last couple weeks without their best player, A.J. Green, and that dramatically impacts what they're able to do offensively.
Andy Dalton last week against that Baltimore defense, 19-36, 211 yards, a couple touchdowns, and no interceptions. And here he goes with the new left tackle today because of an injury. 1st and 10 from his own 11. Rich, I still think they are talking about what they called on that second infraction on that return.
Correction. On illegal double team
Yes.
block, it was number 85. Number 85.
Does that really matter?
Well, there is no, the problem is the problem is on Cincinnati there's
no 85.
Unless you're talking about Isaac Curtis, of course, and maybe he's come out of
But I mean, even if what difference does it make?
I know it doesn't.
We know somebody misbehaved. Let's move on. You know, the players hate this, Kevin. You talk about trying to. You see the special teams coordinator of the Cincinnati Bengals, Darren Simmons. He's not happy, but there's something to be said for trying to find some rhythm.
The correct number is number 88 on the double team block. Number 88.
He's saying they weren't double teamed on the block. By the way, it was this crew that was supposed to referee and officiate the Rams-Kansas City game Monday at the Coliseum, and they changed the crew for that game.
That was a big penalty. That was hidden yardage. That's a loss of 30 yards due to that penalty.
Half the crew is on it. Mixon in the backfield. First down and 10, going long. And that is grabbed. Nice catch made. John Ross still battling with a groin injury from September. 17-yard pickup to the 28. First trip to New York. Let's go to JB.
Oakland on the road. That's right. Set up by a 4th and 1 card to Lee Smith on a 30-yarder. Here's Doug Martin going over the top like Sylvester Stallone. The Raiders strike first. They're up 7-0.
Kevin, Rich, and Steve.
Thank you, guys. Raiders playing in a very tough environment today. First and 10 after that 17-yard pass to Ross. With a handoff here. Mixon is taken down on the play by Jamie Collins on a gain of 3. Rich, we mentioned a new left tackle today on that line.
Yeah, Jake Fisher. He's going to have his hands full going up against one of the better pass rushers in football, Myles Garrett.
And in the absence of Green, who do you like out of this crew?
Well, I would say this: John Ross, Cody Core, and Alex Erickson. Kevin, these 3 receivers really need to pick up the pace with the absence of A.J. Green. They have to play better at wide receiver. We know that they have in Tyler Boyd, but those other receivers, they need more production and consistency from that group.
Boyd lining up in the backfield there on the second down and 7. Outside they go. This is Boyd. With the beat on him is Demarius Randall, the former Green Bay Packer. He takes the ball out to about the 43. It's a pickup of 11 on the play. Another first down for Cincinnati.
This is a good job moving the receiver in the backfield. You see Tyler Boyd's another way of moving him around, positioning so that those corners can't get their hands and press him at the line of scrimmage.
First and 10. With a Mixon run right here. Out to about the 47-yard line. Couple guys in there making the stop. With a gain of 3, let's take a look at that defensive line. Ogunjobi was the one who made that tackle. He is in the anchor position on that line.
And he's a difference maker, Kevin. He's an unselfish player. Does a lot of the dirty work inside. The linebacking position, Schobert's really made a difference since he's returned. He's probably their most consistent player, and I really like Denzel Ward. I think he's going to be a great one. He's got great range, great recovery ability, and he's pretty tough once he gets his hands on you at the line of scrimmage.
Cleveland in the nickel, second down and 7. Here comes the quarterback with a nice pass on the screws right there. Uzama got it, fell. Carey was there. They're into Cleveland territory, just shy of the first down, about the 47-yard line, gain of 6. Green body Calhoun makes the stop. He's one of those 5 in the secondary for the Cleveland Brown defense. Number 31 coming into today. 3rd and 1. On the side, nice play right there. Turned in by Avery. No gain on the play on the handoff to Mixon. That's a terrific tackle by Jannard Avery, who's a rookie out of Memphis.
Part of the problem is they don't even block him. You just turn the end man on the line of scrimmage loose, and that makes it very difficult, obviously, on the back. You got to account for the end man on the line of scrimmage, that backside contained.
They're going to go for it, Rich, on 4th and less than a yard. Nixon was in the backfield. They chase him to the outside. They get the first down and knocked out of bounds by Joe Schobert. Nice play, quick throw. Nixon putting his fingerprints on this one early. Gain of 12 to the 35.
You got to be careful when you've got your eyes in the backfield. It's like 2 ships passing in the night. When you look at Vallejo, he's got to make sure that he doesn't allow Mixon to get out in the flat. Just a little bit of a false step there is all it took.
With a first down and 10. Mixon hit, driven back with the loss on the play. Coming through Trevon Coley. It is a loss of 3 on the play, back to about the 39.
We talked about Schobert in the lineup. Just look at him penetrate. He's done a really nice job. He makes a lot of plays at or around the line of scrimmage.
Schobert hit him along with Coley. 9th play of the drive, 2nd down. 14, Bernard in the backfield. Bernard with the block, but they go right through, but outside they've got the tight end, Matt Lengel. Flag has been thrown. Lengel got down inside the 30-yard line near the 28, gain of 10 as it stands right now. Lengel had a 4-yard touchdown reception last week in Baltimore for the Bengals.
Holding, offense, number 25, 10-yard penalty, replay, 2nd down.
Schobert came flying right through, and Bernard is a pretty good 3rd down blocker, isn't he, Rich?
Well, he was confused. They had 2 linebackers rushing up inside. He wasn't sure which one to block, so he winds up grabbing Schobert right around the collar, and they call that one every time.
So on this drive, Ross caught one for 17. Boyd caught one for 11. Catch and run, a 1st down by Mixon. 2nd and 24. They need the 25. Bernard blocking again. Uzama in the middle. And tripped up by Bobby Calhoun, and he is down after what appears to be a gain of 13 yards down to the 36-yard line. Bobby Calhoun is down. Brian is a 3rd-year player out of Minnesota, waived by Jacksonville, undrafted player, signed by the Browns, and they're looking at him right now.
You look at how the Bengals will attack. I think they've got to be able to attack and win in the middle of the field. Cleveland linebackers aren't great in coverage, and I think it's one of the reasons they play so much zone coverage, and also because of how deep they play their safeties. At times, they're 20 yards from the line of scrimmage, so there's a lot of room between those linebackers and the secondary, those safeties, and Dalton's aware of it. Dalton, Kevin, if you study his numbers over the years, he's much more consistent and productive when he's throwing the ball between the numbers in the middle of the field.
So with Bobby Calhoun out, Philip Gaines will come in. This is just his 2nd game for the Browns. Claimed off waivers from Buffalo earlier this month. 3rd down and 11. They need the 25. Those safeties are very deep, and they go underneath, and it's incomplete on a cross. Uzama was there. The coverage by Schobert. Incomplete. 4th down.
Just the receiver, the tight end, in this case, Uzama and Andy Dalton not being on the same page. You watch right here at the top, when Dalton throws this football, Uzama doesn't even have his head around out of the break. See Schobert there in pretty good coverage, and it's all about timing and rhythm in the passing game, and just Dalton a little bit early there on that break.
Here's Bullock, who's going to try a 54-yard field goal. 2 of those 3 misses have been 50 yards or more. The other one was blocked. This would be a season long. 50, that's blocked again! He's had 2 blocked. That baby was batted. And the defense holds. That one getting up high, hard to see, but they get a hand on it. 3:01 in the 1st.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Progressive Insurance, handing off big savings to you. Garmin. Get a Garmin smartwatch and beat yesterday. And by McDonald's new Classic Meal Deal at participating McDonald's.
There is nothing like an NFL stadium coming alive on a Sunday morning, and we are in Cincinnati. A 1-yard touchdown run by Chubb, 2nd possession, 1st and 10 Mayfield, and he goes to the sideline. That is incomplete, looking for Landry. Bernard was over there. Williams is over there, 2nd down and 10.
Let's take a look at the scouting report of Baker Mayfield. You look at the strengths, the anticipation, the accuracy. You can see it, the playmaking ability when things break down around him. I think he's a quarterback that plays with great confidence and poise. I think you look at some weaknesses. I just think the lack of experience with decision-making will come as he gets more comfortable, more reps each week. But I think he's got a natural feel in the passing game and really the sense to read the play quickly as it develops.
Mayfield had completed his first 6. 2 weeks ago against Atlanta, he completed his first 13 of the game. 2nd down and 10. Good time. He's got that one That is caught by Perriman, his second catch. He was signed October 13th. Flag is down. 9-yard pickup as it stands. The stop by Darius Phillips at about the 47-yard line.
It's going to be against Cincinnati.
Prior to the pass, holding, defense number 55. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. First down.
Montez Burfict has missed a lot of time. First 4 games of the season because of the suspension. He's been battling with that hip injury. He's missed practice time, and certainly the game speeds up on Sundays, Kevin, as you mentioned earlier.
Mayfield had 3 touchdown passes in that game against Atlanta a couple weeks ago. His QBR was 151. First down and 10. Across the middle it goes. This is caught by Jarvis Landry. He's inside the 38. Hit by Bates. 14-yard catch and run. Mayfield right on the screws. Another first down.
I like the fact they're jumping the football. They get in these open formations. Allows Baker Mayfield to make a quick decision and get the ball out quickly.
Thinks he's back in Norman. First and 10. Moving up nicely. Nice touch. Downfield. Good looking catch right there with Rashard Higgins, who caught a touchdown pass a couple weeks ago against Atlanta. He's down to about the 13, 24-yard catch and a first down.
And no panic. You just watch the feet of Baker Mayfield. He knows exactly what to do. He slides to his left. He steps up. He throws a really good, accurate ball to Rashard Higgins and gets him to the transition of the run.
I bet you like this pace, don't you, Rich?
I love it. And I love the fact that they're getting in these open formations and allow Baker Mayfield to sit back there and spin it.
Here he goes to the end zone, caught for the touchdown, Antonio Callaway. 13-yard strike. Freddie Kitchens drew up a nice one right there. 13-0 Browns. Williams in the back of the end zone.
Well, they realize that Cincinnati's had difficulty defending the middle of the field with their linebackers and safeties. They spread them out and they get the ball out quick. Again, you see the mobility, the escapability of Baker Mayfield back there in the pocket. Keeps the ball in a throwing position, the eyes down the field, and makes a very good, accurate touch throw in the back of the end zone to another rookie, Antonio Callaway.
Callaway and the quarterback Mayfield really on the same page now. Extra point makes it 14-zip. Joseph drills it in late first quarter. Touchdown run of a yard by Chubb. And then the versatile Mayfield on the fly to the end zone for 6. Callaway, 14-0 Browns. Pretty good script by offensive coordinator Freddie Kitchens. 14 plays, 129 yards, 2 touchdowns on 2 possessions. Yeah, the script was right on the money.
And for those who just felt like Cleveland would just come in here and try and smash the ball in the running game, I think they'll eventually get to that. But right now they're opening things up with this no-back offense and 4 or 5 receivers out on the route.
Alex Erickson inside the 5. And I think the one to slow him down was Joseph, the kicker, on a 33-yard return. How about a 2 quarterbacks so far in this one?
Well, both off to good starts. Mayfield 9 of 10, 122 yards. He's thrown it to 7 different receivers. It's going to be tough for Andy Dalton today. He knows that without A.J. Green in the lineup, it certainly complicates things and makes things a lot more difficult on the quarterback.
Nixon in the backfield, first down and 10. Hart with the block. Outside they go here, and that is Tyler Boyd. With the coverage on the play by Brian Body Calhoun, who's back out there, as Steve was telling you about. 11-yard gain. He's got a first down to the 46-yard line.
Well, you talk about the trickle-down effect without A.J. Green in the lineup. Tyler Boyd has seen a lot more double coverage the last few weeks, especially on third down. Baltimore essentially treated him like A.J. Green last week. Any chance they could get to chip him and to double him, they did.
Nickel secondary. Nixon wrapped up. And how? No room to roam right there. Loss of 4 on the play. Ogunjobi was the one. His second tackle today off that defensive line.
I've really been impressed with Ogunjobi. He just makes a lot of plays in the backfield. He's a great penetrator. Strong upper body. You see those big pipes I should call them pipes. That's me think about pipe cleaner arms like you, Kevin. No, he's got big arms, not pipe cleaner arms. He's got big arms.
Speak for yourself. Second down and 14. Nixon out of the backfield. And they've got him. Ross was flying. And the coverage on the play by Denzel Ward, the #1 pick out of Ohio State, incomplete.
Talked about trying to stretch the field, and they got the matchup they want. You see Ross lined up on the rookie Denzel Ward. He gets by him. Dalton just misses his throw.
You know, the speed of Ross doesn't look to be there. That groin issue, I still think, is plaguing him.
He hasn't been the same since he hurt that groin against Atlanta and that come-from-behind win earlier this season. Missed a lot of practice time, and it's tough when you're missing work during the week to go out there on Sunday and have that same game speed.
Gio Bernard is in 3rd and 14, hard holding off, and that's right through the hands of Uzama. He would have been well shy of a first down. Incomplete, 4th down. Steve, here comes the punting unit again.
Yeah, I had a conversation with Darren Simmons, special teams coordinator for the Bengals. They've had a few problems. Blocked field goal already today. A big penalty on a kickoff return. They did have the good return earlier, but special teams has been devastated by the injuries to their frontline players. The regular core special teams players have been called upon to play regular down and distance, and now they've got new and inexperienced players all over their roster on their special teams playing.
Yep, that's a problem. Here's Kevin Huber, Cincinnati native, to punt. Sends this skyward. Peppers down there at about the 7. Hang time of 4-6. Out to the 13. Hit by Vincent Ray and a couple others. 6-yard return. Flag has been thrown. 51-yard punt. With 5 seconds to play here in the first quarter from Cincinnati.
During the kick, holding, receiving team, number 82. Half the distance to the goal. Cleveland keeps the ball. First down.
Orson Charles. Browns come in having lost 4 of 5. Same with Cincinnati.
Well, it's important to get off to a good start, and the Browns have been able to do that. You just see Baker Mayfield making quick decisions, moving around, sliding in the pocket, creating a little bit more little extra time for those receivers to work down the field. I've been really impressed with what we've seen from him, and just in visiting with him last night, he said things are slowing down for him pre-snap. You know, he's seeing things better. He's processing information quicker and more efficiently. And I think Freddie Kitchens, the offensive coordinator, has done a terrific job. You know, when he first took over, he said you got to start with the quarterback. He tried to figure out what Mayfield was comfortable with and what he understood, and then what he does well. And then you build your game plan around that.
2 tight ends. From the 4, Mayfield 1st and 10. And he throws over the head of Chubb, who is covered by Vincent Ray. And there was pressure coming up on the side from Michael Johnson. Let's go to the second quarter. Chubb a touchdown run, and Mayfield a touchdown pass on CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Snickers. You're off your game when you're hungry. Eat a Snickers. And by the Spark Cash Card from Capital One.
On this post-Thanksgiving Sunday, 2nd down and 10. 25 consecutive road losses for the Browns. One more, they tie the longest ever in NFL history of Detroit. But they lead 14-zip. We start the second quarter. Chubb riding him down like a rodeo cowboy. Darquez Denard. That's a gain of 7 on the play, and he drives him out to the 11-yard line.
Well, if you're the Bengals, you better tackle well this week, because Nick Chubb won't go down easily. His arm tackles aren't going to work against a back like Chubb. Leads the league in yards after contact.
Hey, 4 down.
Drew Johnson is in. And Johnson comes to the near side. 3rd down and 3. Nickel secondary, Mayfield. Out in a hurry it goes, and he's got his receiver again. This time it is caught by Jarvis Landry. It's a gain of 9 on the play. It is a first down to the 20-yard line at Cleveland.
You just watch the quarterback go through his progressions. A little Three-man route out of the bunch set. When you get in those bunch sets, it makes it very difficult for the Bengals to get the line of scrimmage and press. Really impressed with what I've seen so far from Freddie Kitchens as he's calling plays here for the rookie quarterback. He's not afraid to be aggressive with Baker Mayfield. You've seen a couple times. Now, we saw it earlier today. We saw it a couple weeks ago where he's calling plays backed up in their own, inside their own 5-yard line.
Phillips makes the stop on one play, and down here is Billings, who comes in and knocks down Nick Chubb with a loss of 1 back to the 18.
We talked about Freddie Kitchens since he's taken over, and I just think you look at the production and the improvement with this offense, and in particular the play of Baker Mayfield. He had his best game against the Falcons the last time out. Very efficient. He's taken better care of the football. I just think he looks more comfortable. Really had a great conversation with Freddie last night, a former quarterback at Alabama, a guy that's really, he didn't come into the league with a silver spoon in his mouth. He's had to really work and grind and fight for every opportunity.
Former starting quarterback at Alabama back in the mid-90s. Second down 11, Mayfield hits the back of Burfict's head with an incomplete pass.
You look at Baker Mayfield, he's won at every level. He was 25-2 as a starter at Lake Travis High School in Texas. He was 33-6 at Oklahoma, winning the Heisman Trophy in his final season, throwing for 43 touchdowns and just 6 interceptions. I like the fact he's been a good decision maker. He's done a pretty nice job of taking care of the football back there in the pocket.
Mayfield, a former walk-on at Texas Tech, finished up at Oklahoma. 3rd down and 11. Johnson back there offers a block. Mayfield on the move, and he has the receiver. Was he in? Did Callaway get it? Yes, he did at the 40-yard line. 21-yard pickup on 3rd and 11. Nice play by Mayfield.
No panic at all from Mayfield. Just does a great job eluding the rush and finding Antonio Callaway on the boundary. Just watch the pressure. Watch the poise from Mayfield. He sees it coming. He slides. He knows there's an issue there, and he knows exactly where to go with the football.
Johnson's block was huge, too, moving up around that block by the running back. 1st and 10. Chubb is in, and the call, and he steamrolls his way into Ray, and he's up to the 47-yard line with a gain of 7.
Well, if offensive coordinator Freddie Kitchens doesn't find a way to hand the ball to Nick Chubb at least 20 times against this Bengals run defense, then you got to go into that locker room immediately following the game and have his head examined by one of those neurotrauma consultants. I mean, he'd be crazy not to find out whether or not this defense can hold up against the run.
Quarterback coach for the Browns, Ken Zampese, spent 15 seasons with the Bengals. Now at Cleveland, 2nd down and 3. Chubb hit by a couple, then driven back, and he gets gain of 2. Ray and others in there making the stop. Michael Johnson.
Chubb's like one of those throwback backs, Kevin. You know, I think he's, as the game, the more carries, the more touches, the more opportunities he gets, he can begin to wear down a defense. He's one of those volume backs. He's all business. I really enjoyed our conversation with him last night.
I did too. Finishes the 2nd all-time leading rusher, Rich, at the University of Georgia, and they produced some pretty good running backs
I love
at
what
Georgia.
he said about Herschel Walker. I said, we had Herschel Walker in Minnesota, but I said, we put him in the split backs. He said, didn't they watch tape of him at Georgia?
3rd and 1. Fake to Chubb. There's some nice blocking, and they dump it off on the side, and Njoku takes it into the grasp of Bates with a nice run. David Njoku, a 2nd-year tight end out of Miami. 24-yard catch and run to the 27.
Well, Njoku's going to get lost in the wash. You just watch him. He's the end man on the line of scrimmage. He's going to pause, and then he works himself out after the fake. Look at Baker Mayfield put the ball behind his right hip. This completely fools the defense. Watch the extension. Watch the play action fake here. That's as good as it gets.
So calm, huh?
He does just, you watch his feet, Kevin. The feet tell you everything about Baker Mayfield. He's in complete control of this offense, and there's no sense of panic.
1st and 10. Deep one here. What a catch, lassoed by Njoku. Inside the 10. They find the seam. 21-yard laser. 1st and goal, Cleveland.
The linebackers are a liability in coverage for the Bengals. They've struggled defending the middle of the field the entire season. And Njoku is wide open in the middle of the field.
Njoku's caught passes for 24 and 21. First and goal at the 6. Johnson was in the backfield. Underneath, through his hands, and incomplete. And in back of him, they had Jordan Evans.
That's on Mayfield. You'll learn as a young quarterback to take a little off this throw. This one came out hot and a bit high. And you just, you look at Duke Johnson, he's wide open. Put it right on his chest, right on the sternum, but just take a little bit off of that. That was a bit of a fastball coming out of the right hand of Baker Mayfield.
He's one of the best in the business, coming out of the backfield as a running back with receptions. Second and goal at the 6. 12th play of the drive. Mayfield. Njoku tries to leap, and he does right into the grass, but they push him in. Touchdown! His best, Edwin Moses. He takes it in a 6-yard catch and run. Njoku with a touchdown. The second touchdown pass by quarterback Baker Mayfield. 3 possessions, 3 Cleveland scores.
Well, he's right here. He's actually going to block first. You watch him block, and then he's just going to turn out and release and catch the screen route. So if you're the linebacker covering the tight end, you think he's blocking. Now all of a sudden he just slips out. Now watch this effort here. I wouldn't try this at home, but
the push by Treader and by Kevin Zeitler, a former high pick by the Cincinnati Bengals, now on the line for the Browns. Joseph will bang one in. 21-0 Cleveland. 25 consecutive road losses for the Browns, but an early statement in the Battle of Ohio. Cleveland 21-0 over Cincinnati. Baker Mayfield with 2 touchdown passes, Rich.
Yeah, and that blowout loss that the Bengals had a couple weeks ago to the Saints, where the Saints put 51 on them, really made an impression with Baker Mayfield. He said, look, if we can be physical with them and get off to a good start, they may roll over. Curious to see what Cincinnati can do here before the half, Kevin. It's been a disappointing performance and start for the Bengals.
Touchback to the 25-yard line. Last road win. Cavaliers had not won an NBA title. LeBron was still calling Cleveland home. Mayfield was at Oklahoma. Hugh Jackson was the offensive coordinator for the Bengals. And we did the last game. It was in Baltimore when they won on the road last, wasn't it?
Yeah, week 5 of 2015. They won 33-30 in overtime. And Josh McCown was actually a quarterback for the Browns.
With 2 tight ends and Mixon in the backfield, 1st and 10. Collins is coming off the edge. Gotten away, and it's incomplete on the pass by Dalton. 2nd down and 10.
Talking to offensive coordinator Bill Lazor, he just said, we've got to play better around Andy Dalton. The tight ends, the wide receivers, they just have to be where they're supposed to be. And Andy Dalton's capable of taking care of the rest. But that's been a real challenge the last couple weeks without A.J. Green in the lineup.
Dalton with a 2nd down and 10 up the middle, the pressure, and the ball downfield. It's picked off on the play. Picked off by Demarius Randall. There is a flag at the 42. Randall, if it counts, it'll be his 3rd pick. They're playing him at safety now, a converted cornerback. Dalton has not thrown any interceptions against Cleveland in a long, long time. 180 consecutive passes, in fact. Going back to the 2014 season.
Well, some pressure up inside, I think, forces Dalton to throw this one a bit high.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness. Cleveland, number 51. 15-yard penalty from the end of the play. Cleveland keeps the ball. First down.
Demarius Randall. That's a guy that John Dorsey, the GM, traded for. Got him from Green Bay. Dalton throws the pick. And they're trailing 21-0. The safety Randall just picked off the Cincinnati quarterback Dalton. 1st and 10, taken over at the 41. Chubb. Nice block in there by Bitonio, opening up the door. The tackle was made by Carlos Dunlap, gain of 4.
Let's go back and take a look at the interception. And I think what happens is Schobert gets there a little bit early with the pressure, and it forces Dalton to throw the ball to Cody Core before he's even out of the break, and Demarius Randall reads it all the way, and he politely flips the ball to his former head coach, Hugh Jackson. That's going to, Kevin, as you said, that'll be on a lot of highlight reels tonight.
Jackson did throw the ball away, as we saw, let it out of his hand at the very end. 2nd down and 6. Chubb grabbed by Burfict. Where they see that a lot, don't you? Burfict jumping on his back. Williams had a hand in it. Gain of 7. They go into Cincinnati territory at the 48-yard line.
Chubb always seems to be falling forward at the end of runs. Does not go down easily. You look at Dalton. First interception in his last 180 pass attempts versus the Browns. We talked about he's had some of his best days against Cleveland, but that's usually with a healthy A.J. Green in the lineup. Kevin, this team is a shell of their former selves. It affects and impacts everything that they do on offense when you don't have A.J. Green on the field.
It's a 1st and 10 to Chubb. And they read it well. They had Dunlap over there and Vincent Ray. They let him in tackles a season ago. It's a loss of 2, and they're back in their own territory now at the 49-yard line. Rich, the Browns have not won consecutive games since 2014. They last played Atlanta and beat them in Cleveland.
Well, their struggles on the road. 0-4 on the road this season. 3-2-1 at home. And, you know, look, you got to give Greg Williams some credit, Kevin, for getting this team ready and really believing in themselves. When he took over this job, he said, first and foremost, I've got to be able to create some confidence with this group. Get them believing in themselves once again.
With a 2nd down and 12 into the nickel, Mayfield, another laser thrown, caught by Antonio Callaway. Brought down by Williams, swerves near the 30, 19-yard pickup, another 1st down for the Browns.
Well, the quickest way to the end zone is right down the middle of the field, and it's also directly in the line and sight of the quarterback. They're having a lot of success working between the numbers in the middle of the field against this Cincinnati secondary.
Another defensive back is going in there right now for Cincinnati. They've got 5. Take the Chubb. Njoku, look at him take a pile after the reception near the 1st down, near the 21-yard line. Gain of 9, Njoku.
Well, you look at the streaks that have ended with this football team, and certainly the big question mark is, can they get a road win today? And we talked a little bit about the job that Greg Williams has done. He said, look, it was important for me to be calm yet confident, really present to the players a roadmap for how we're going to turn things around and finish the season strong.
They're also healthy. Cleveland is very healthy.
Hey, we're going 5-5.
Healthiest, in fact, since the end of camp.
Coming off of that bye, the extra time to heal up and spend some time prepping for the Bengals.
2nd down and 1, off the edge they come. Nick Dilly moving outside, flag thrown. It's Mayfield, and it's incomplete, and he had his receiver, Landry. On that 2nd down and 1. Hold against the Browns, it appears. 2 touchdown passes by Mayfield in this one. A 1-yard touchdown run by Chubb. 4th possession, Browns have scored touchdowns on their previous 3.
There are 2 fouls on the play, 1 by each team. Holding. Offense, number 78. Holding. Defense, number 22. These fouls all set. Replay 2nd down.
Rich, Mayfield already has 231 passing yards for the Cleveland Browns. He is 16 of 20.
You know, they're not doing a good enough job, the Bengals defensive line, of getting hands on them, Kevin. They're getting around them, but they're giving them creases and some seams to slip out. And that's the thing that's really hurt the Bengals.
Njoku has been the key recipient too. 5 catches, Rich, and 63 yards. The tight end.
You know the Bengals struggle at linebacker in coverage.
2nd down and 1. It's Chubb again with an initial hit by Jordan Evans and no gain on the play. They'll stay right there.
I really felt like one of the keys for Cincinnati defensively was winning on the early downs, forcing Baker Mayfield to function on 3rd down. You know, this is where I always say 3rd down is one of the toughest downs in football. It's where the game speeds up. You find out about quarterbacks in critical situations, but Kevin, too often today, they've been in these 3rd and I don't want to say manageable, but 3rd and short situations. Got to do a better job on the early downs.
Charles is the fullback. 3rd down and 1. Chubb. Oh, he tried the submarine, and I'm not sure that he got it. Looks like not much of a gain, if anything, on the play.
Maybe 4-down territory.
Yes.
That was the 4th time they were in 3rd and 3 or less. But just watch Chubb. There's going to be some penetration, but watch him keep pumping those legs. You're going to see him. You can see it in the pile there. He never stops churning those legs. Just watch. Just keep pumping, keep churning.
Evans made the hit. They're going to go for it, Rich, like you talked about. Half yard to go. 4th
Why
down.
not when you're up 21-0?
Sure. Mayfield, Chubb, he dives maybe with that last bit of effort for the 1st. Evans down there with a hit and looked like he made enough. Let's see where they spot it.
Close.
Jerome Boger's crew is officiating, and they will bring the chains out and measure.
Michael Johnson gets some good penetration. You see him on the ground in the backfield.
I don't think his knee had hit, Rich.
I think it's a pretty good spot. It's an accurate spot. It's not one that you're gonna win in a challenge.
By the nose of the ball. They got it, and Chubb carves his way for the 1st down. That'll bring a smile to your face if you're a Browns fan. With interim head coach Greg Williams.
He's already bleeding. If you look at his forehead,
yeah, he was
bleeding.
headbutting somebody, right?
He was having some fun with some of those players.
It's like Marvin Lewis is going to challenge the spot.
Yeah, he's not going to win that one. But you know, you look at this game. We talk about 2 teams coming in and struggling. And both teams having lost 4 of the last 5. It's usually the team that plays with a greater sense of urgency. The team that wants it more, that's going to get the victory. And right now, clearly, the team that's playing with a bigger sense of urgency is the visitors, the Cleveland Browns.
Bengals are challenging a spot. They trail 21-0 to Cleveland.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Corona Extra. Find your beach. United States Air Force. Experience more at airforce.com. And by Hyundai, official sponsor of the NFL.
Cincinnati was challenging a spot. Let's go to New York. Gene Steratore, NFL rules analyst, is with us. Gene, what did you see on that play?
Always difficult plays to overturn. The running back does put his hand down, and it doesn't look like his forearm touches before that ball reaches the 21-yard line. The ruling of stands is usually what happens on those plays.
They gave him the 1st. Thank you, Gene. Duke Johnson was in the backfield. Here comes Mayfield. And running to the sideline and pushed out of bounds there by Evans with a gain of 5 from Mayfield. Gene, thank you so much. The continued good play of Mayfield moves this team downfield.
This is confusing. Here's your best pass rusher, Geno Atkins. He's going to drop in coverage and they rush 3. You wonder why Baker Mayfield has so much time. There's Geno Atkins dropping in coverage. And they just, you rush 3. Just make it easy on a quarterback like Baker Mayfield. You give him plenty of time to sit back there, work through his progressions, extend the play, and try and find an open receiver.
180.
It's the 10th play of the drive. 2nd down and 5. Chubb. There's Atkins for you. 6-time Pro Bowler wrapping up Chubb, the rookie. Gain of 2. It's a ball loose on the play. It looks like maybe it had, or Landry was just shoved to the side. Either way, it is a gain of a couple and bringing up 3rd down and 3. Rich, Mayfield has now had multiple touchdown passing games, 5 in a row. 5 consecutive games with multiple touchdown passes, 2 today.
Well, you can see just how confident he looks out there. We know about his football IQ and his intelligence. And I just think that the awareness and the poise is really noticeable. Just not easily rattled. Great conversation with that gentleman right there, Freddie Kitchens, last night. He just said how impressed he was with Baker Mayfield.
Freddie says he's going to use Drew Brees as a model for his young quarterback. Says that's the guy that probably has as much likeness to what he can do. Coming up, Verizon's halftime report. JB and Company scores, news, and highlights from our CBS studios in New York. The Verizon halftime report. Did you like that comparison to Brees?
I did. And look, you look at Freddie Kitchens, Kevin. He's trying to keep his job too now. I mean,
sure.
Since he took over for Hugh the last 2 games, Mayfield has played some of his best football. He had his best game of the season statistically in the win over Atlanta. Last 2 games, he's completing 74% of his passes. He's thrown 5 touchdowns and just a single pick. And what I like is 3rd down. He's 3 for 3 on 3rd down, 3 first downs to 3 different receivers.
Hey, tight.
3rd down 3. Chubb at his side. And he's going to go to Chubb. And did he go? Yes, he did! Yes, he did! Chubb jousting with Brandon Wilson. 14-yard touchdown pass. And they cash in on the Demarius Randall interception. Mayfield has thrown 3 first-half touchdown passes.
Oh, really a great effort here. Watch this catch. I mean, he just pulls it off the back. Now, the question is, I don't think that's going to count, Kevin. As he's going to the ground, the ball bounces. Watch this. He doesn't quite have possession yet. He's still working to pull it back in. And then as he goes to the ground, I think he's got it there. But now he doesn't maintain possession.
Rich, I don't
know.
I
think that'll be overturned.
Let's see where his feet are, too, when he comes down with possession there.
Well, he doesn't have it quite yet. He's still trying to jostle the ball away from Brandon Wilson.
He's in.
But then the ball bounces. Look, he's got it there, but then he hits the ground and it. Taking a look at that one, a couple different angles.
Let's go back to Gene's territory in New York, our NFL rules analyst. Gene, what'd you see?
This is a very interesting play.
Yes, it
and
is.
I think what we look at on this one, every week we find something new, guys. But I've got possession behind the defender. Now, once we have possession, let's count the feet. And I've got 1, 2, and I believe a 3rd foot before the ball does move. And if that's the case, they're going to stay with the catch and a touchdown.
They give it to him. Thank you, Gene. And plus, his bottom, 1 cheek equals 2 feet. And his cheek hit. And the ball looked like he had possession. 14-yard touchdown pass by Mayfield to Chubb. Another extra point by Joseph. This score will rock people around the NFL. The Cleveland Browns 28-0 over Cincinnati. 4 possessions in the first half for the Browns. 4 touchdowns, 3 through the air by Mayfield, and the most first half points, Rich, you can see since 91.
How about Mayfield in the red zone? He's 5 of 6 with 3 touchdowns.
Wow. Hugh Jackson, their former coach, fired less than a month ago, is on the other side. Erickson will let this hit the end zone. Touchback to the 25-yard line. Baker Mayfield.
You look at, last time he played against the Falcons, he said he woke up feeling dangerous. How about today? I suppose he's feeling very dangerous. Look at those numbers. First quarterback since the franchise returned to Cleveland with 200 more passing yards and 2 touchdowns in the first half. 8th consecutive drive with a touchdown. 5 consecutive games with 2 or more touchdowns. And he's been on fire so far today. 17 of 21, 245 passing yards and 3 touchdowns for Baker Mayfield.
Browns in the nickel. Here's a 1st and 10 pass to Uzama with a tackle made right there by their number 4 overall pick, Ward. And that is a gain of 5. Reggie's up to the 30-yard line.
We're going to see what kind of fight the Bengals have left in them, Kevin. It's 28-0. This game is very reminiscent to the Saints game a couple, 3 weeks back, where they just gave up 51 points and really rolled over here at home.
Second down. Here comes Mixon as he sifts his way through the secondary. 21-yard catch and run to the 47-yard line of Cincinnati. But wow, that score. That is something else. Halftime is 2 minutes away on CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Walmart. Light up Christmas at Walmart. And by Subway. Make it what you want.
Bengals players and staff join the fight to end hunger this week, volunteering for the Free Store Food Bank's Thanksgiving food drive. 2-minute warning. After the 21-yard catch and run by Mixon, who empties out of the backfield here and will dance a bit. Nice open field tackle by Shorbert. Flag is thrown. No gain on the play. They're staying at the 47-yard line. How about Mixon's did 5 carries, Rich, minus 1 yard. You thought he had to be the big star in offense in the absence of Green.
Well, look, when he gets 15 or more carries, they're 4-0.
Illegal block in the back. Offense, number 53. 10-yard penalty. Replay first down.
That's the rookie center, Billy Price, out of Ohio State.
You just see him right there at the end of the trying to get a block for Mixon. But Kevin, we talked about the importance of the running game with Mixon. As I said, they're undefeated when he gets 15 or more carries, and yet they're winless. They're 0-4 when he has less than 15. They're averaging just 85 rushing yards per game at home compared to just 53 on the road. They've got to focus in on. I know this is tough when you're down 28-0, but look, got a lot of football left here in the second half, and Mixon has to be more of a factor on the ground.
5 defensive backs, 1st and 20 after the penalty, and they go to the side. And it looks like T.J. Carey is going to battle with the receiver Tyler Boyd. Was it 18-yard catch out of bounds on the chalk, incomplete, out of play. Boyd couldn't grab the pass inbounds from Dalton.
Looks like he has it for a moment, but then it gets
Carey's in there.
Well, as he comes to the ground, certainly Carey able to rip it away. I don't think he ever has possession of it before that left shoulder hits the ground.
Carey, the cornerback, he is replacing Terrence Mitchell, who they signed from Kansas City, but Mitchell broke a wrist, so Carey was put back in there. Carey was signed to a big contract.
It's being reviewed.
They're going to take a look at that again. Of course, anything inside 2 minutes is a booth-prompted review, and so that's exactly what they will do. Yep, that score is not a misprint. 28-0. We'll be back in 30 seconds after this from Walmart. There's a challenge from the booth. This is inside 2 minutes. So they have prompted a review of this play. Was he in or out of bounds? And so that is what we are waiting for on a pass to Boyd with the coverage by T.J. Carey in the secondary of Cleveland. Jerome Boger.
After reviewing the play, the rule on the field stands as called. Incomplete pass, 2nd down.
I think the ball was sliding down the right side of Tyler Boyd, and when he hits the ground, it's ripped away by T.J. Carey. I think it's the right call, but you know, we're talking about this Browns defense, Kevin, during the break, and I thought they really played well in their last outing in the win over Atlanta. I think they made things really difficult for Matt Ryan. I think we're seeing more of that today with Andy Dalton. Done a good job getting Dalton off the spot. He's had a lot of time back there in the pocket.
Bengals in the first half, only 92 offensive yards. 2nd down and 20. Pressure, grabbed. He gets away, got away from Garrett. There it goes. Dalton, he needs the 43. He may have just snuck inside the grasp of Schobert. And they're going to give it to him. Good scramble by Dalton. 21-yard pickup on 2nd and 20.
Really nice job by Dalton. You're going to see him. He gets pinned in there back in the pocket, and then he's able to spin out at the last second. Good effort by Dalton, not giving up on the play.
Cleveland was telling us yesterday they thought he was a lot faster than he looked on tape. And they saw a little bit of it right there. With a 1st and 10. Mixon, it was. Nice hesitation. High steps his way by Ward. Into the secondary. And brought down on the play by Jabril Peppers. Using that speed to catch up with him. 32-yard run to the 10.
Watch this move right here. I mean, the safety's going to come clean. That's Bodie Calhoun, and they don't even block him. And look at this little sidestep right there. Great patience and vision by Joe Mixon, and a nice finish. And they need more of this. The running game has to be more of a focal point moving forward.
They're a great red zone team in Cincinnati. First and goal. Great red zone team. Blocked by Ogwehi at the left side. Out to Mixon. Brought down in the play by linebacker Jamie Collins. Timeout Marvin Lewis. Gain of 5 right there. Put him near the 5, maybe just inside the 6. Yeah, great red zone team. Number 1 red zone scoring touchdown percentage. Now this 30-second message from Lowe's. Mixon a run at 32. Dalton a run at 21. Catch and run Mixon for 21 as well. This puts him Rich second and goal.
And look for Cleveland to double right here. This is Tyler Boyd, and look for this man and this man to work in combination to make sure 83 doesn't catch the ball in this part of the field.
It's second down and goal. Mixon a block to the end zone, incomplete. Auden Tate, he's a big target. It's incomplete with coverage on the play by Denzel Ward.
You saw a lot of this last week. This is bracket coverage. You see the safety working to the right. Just try and throw this fade route in the back corner of the end zone. You see A.J. Green. He's hoping and wishing that he were out there playing and not watching.
So the new left tackle, Fisher's out. Ogwehi in, third and goal at the 5.
Oh, good hard count.
And they go to the near side. That is incomplete. Looking for Tate again. There's Ward again with the coverage.
Well, I like Auden Tate. I just like his size in this part of the field. He's 6'5". For some reason, he and
Outside defense, number 95. Half the distance to the goal. Replay third down.
Myles Garrett having a Pro Bowl season.
I really enjoyed our conversation with him last night. Team leading 9 sacks. He's got that first step suddenness that you want from an edge rusher. Greg Williams thinks he's going to be special.
Rich, 4-down territory here.
I think it is, Kevin. Down 28-0. The season's on the line at 5-5. Your defense is struggling. I think this is certainly 4-down territory for the Bengals.
Third and goal at the 2. Mixon out of the backfield. That's caught for a touchdown. John Ross. 2-yard strike thrown by Dalton. And the shutout is gone, and the Bengals try to build some momentum heading into halftime.
Well, just going to come work across the middle of the field. This is a good throw by Andy Dalton. He puts it right on his chest. He's got no choice but to catch it. It's a nice job protecting him. He's going to sit between both linebackers, and Dalton stops him right there in the hole.
With that touchdown pass, Dalton now moves past Boomer Esiason, number 2 Bengals history touchdown passes. With the extra point here by Bullock. They get 28-7. Cleveland's lead is cut with 32 seconds to go. Big plays. We were wondering who is going to step up, Rich, for the Bengals offensively. It's got to be collective stepping up, not just one guy.
You're right. And you look at that receiving position, and it's got to be guys like Auden Tate, obviously John Ross, Cody Core, Alex Erickson. There's not one person or player that's going to replace the production and consistency of A.J. Green, but these young receivers have to perform better. It's been a point of emphasis all week. Bill Lazor told us on Friday that they had a good week of practice and that the quarterback's got to be able to trust the young receivers that they're going to be in the right place at the right time, run the correct route at the appropriate depth, and make the adjustments accordingly.
Coming up, the Verizon halftime report from our CBS studios in New York. Phil, Nate, Boomer, and Coach Cowher join James Brown for scores, news, and highlights. That's the Verizon halftime report. And Bullock will approach. Kickoff is short, and it's grabbed by the tight end for the Cleveland Browns, Orson Charles, a one-time fourth-round pick by the Bengals, and some shoving here after the catch by Charles. Mayfield, 3 touchdown passes in the first half. He is 17 of 21.
And he's on fire right now. He's just feeling it. He's done a terrific job moving around. He finds Callaway in the back of the end zone, a little slip screen to his tight end, Njoku, and of course he finishes it off with a great touch throw down in the red zone to the back, Nick Chubb, who makes a ridiculous catch. I mean, that's
kind of catch.
In terms of degree of difficulty, that's a 10. 10 out of 10. That was not an easy play for the rookie.
First down and 10. And it's Duke Johnson. Hit by Bates. Corkscrewing his way to the 41. 13-yard pickup for Johnson.
Cleveland's got a couple timeouts.
Yes, they do.
A chance to push the ball down the field and maybe try a field goal here before the half.
The numbers in the last couple games for Mayfield are amazing. Today, 245 through the air, 3 touchdowns, 17 of 21. Coming into today, Rich, he had 5 touchdowns and 1 pick, so that's 8 touchdown passes and 1 interception in a little more than 2 games.
Well, there's a direct correlation between when they made the change to Freddie Kitchens, who I think has done a terrific job, really surrounding Mayfield with some concepts and plays that he's comfortable with, that he's familiar with. So you just see him playing faster from under center.
First down and 10. Jackson back there, offering a block. Mayfield going deep. And the double coverage is there, certainly, on Callaway, and incomplete. Down there, Darius Phillips. Bates in the Cincinnati secondary. Bates took a shot, and here was a shot at Mayfield. Like a pinball there.
It's all part of playing the position, but you can certainly see his arm strength there in that last throw. But I think what's really impressed me is his mobility in the pocket, his ability to step up and slide and feel the rush and still keep that ball in a throwing position, and his eyes downfield. So often, Kevin, with young quarterbacks, their eyes will drop and they'll begin to feel the rush. We have not seen that from Mayfield.
2 tight ends, second down 10, Chubb. Wrapped up and taken down by Sam Hubbard among a couple. The rookie out of Ohio State throwing them for a 1-yard loss back to the 40-yard line. And the clock will tick, and that'll take us to halftime. 1-yard touchdown run by Chubb. 3 touchdown passes by Baker Mayfield. The Browns have lost 25 consecutive road games, 7 straight to the Bengals, but take a sizable lead halfway through this one in Cincinnati. Halftime is next. Here's some first half highlights from Verizon and a word from your local CBS station. The Cleveland Browns with the lead over the Cincinnati Bengals, 28-7 at halftime. Now let's take a look at the gain of the first half involving the rookie quarterback Baker Mayfield to the rookie running back Nick Chubb for a touchdown pass.
Well, it's been all Browns in the first half. You look at what they've done on offense, almost 300 yards of offense, and they're getting it done with their young players, Kevin. They've got to be encouraged with what they've seen so far from Baker Mayfield and certainly Nick Chubb. That both are having terrific, probably their career games in the first half so far for the Browns on offense.
4 red zone Cleveland possessions, 4 touchdowns.
Hey, look at those numbers for Mayfield. 3 touchdowns in the first half. He's been terrific, moving around, extending plays. And Nick Chubb, first player in team history with a receiving and rushing touchdown in consecutive games. And this is encouraging if you're John Dorsey, the general manager of the Cleveland Browns. You're drafting the right type of players who are making immediate contributions early.
Rich, something tells me that last touchdown of the Bengals before halftime may give them a little bit of momentum going into the second half here.
And also what head coach Marvin Lewis had to say to the team at halftime.
Yes.
I'm sure that he was not all too happy with what he saw in the first half, really, on offense or defense.
That is a touchback to the 25-yard line, and let's check in with Steve Tasker.
Yeah, Kevin, I spoke to both coaches at halftime. Marvin Lewis said offensively, the Bengals just got to start over. They got to do what they're supposed to do from the beginning of the game now. And defensively, they've got to understand the formations the Browns are giving them and do their job. Spoke to Greg Williams. He said, listen, it's 0-0. We got to keep their foot on the gas pedal. Defensively, he's got to tackle better. That 2-minute drill, he was really bummed about their inability to get the player on the ground and gave up that last touchdown.
All right, Steve, thank you. Here's a 1st and 10 pitch, and it goes to Mixon. He's looking for a block, and that's what he got from Hart. He's into the secondary, and he's brought down by the linebacker, Jamie Collins, the ex-Patriot.
Yeah.
He takes the ball. Yeah, you're right. 19-yard run out to the 44.
It's a good-looking run there, and you see the movement up front. Good kick-out block here, and this is what they've got to do, Kevin. You want to get back in the game? Let's try and be physical a little bit here in the second half with Cleveland. Let's give them a little taste of their own medicine.
Because that's what Cleveland wanted to give Cincinnati today.
Absolutely, and when you're struggling a little bit, start cranking things up with the running game.
Oh boy, he's still in at the left tackle. He gives a block there for Mixon, and there goes a flag. Price tried to open up some room too. Hit by a couple. Schobert had his hand in that fray. Flag thrown just seconds into the 3rd quarter.
The importance of running the football. You know, I was doing some studying coming into this game. The Bengals offense.
Trippy. Offense, number 87. 10-yard penalty.
Uzama.
Replay, 1st down.
He's guilty right there. Let's check in quickly with Steve Tasker.
Yeah, you mentioned Cedric Ogbuehi, who is a backup right tackle. They had started backup left tackle Jake Fisher today. He did not come out after halftime. He went in early just before the half ended, and he was walking gingerly. He is not back in the game, and now Ogbuehi which would be their 3rd left tackle, with Cordy Glenn being out, is now in the game at left tackle for the Bengals.
And Ogbuehi's more of a natural right tackle, so you'll see a little bit more left formation, putting the tight end over there to give him some help and presence off the edge.
Mike 51, let's go. Miami's hot.
It's a 1st and 20, and there goes the ball, and there goes Dalton. It's loose. It's picked up on the play. That could be, it may be a touchdown. Ogba, they call it down at the 7-yard line. A Cincinnati turnover. Ogba comes up with it on the poor snap coming from Billy Price.
Well, Dalton's got no chance here. I mean, this is just a bad snap from Billy Price. I mean, this thing's going to go high and right, and Dalton knows right away he's in trouble, and he's just trying to get a handle on it. He would have been better off just falling on it. I think he tries to scoop it up.
Another takeaway by the Browns defense, 27 for the season. They're number 2 in the NFL.
Question is he down right there with possession?
Was he touched? As Mixon tries to jump on him, but it's too late. That big body is moving in. And Gene Steratore will rejoin us again from New York, our NFL rules analyst. And Gene, what'd you see?
From my view, it appears like Andy Dalton's left foot is touching the defender after he has control of that football. I believe it is down by contact and would be Cleveland's ball at the 7-yard line. We see the left foot just grazing the back of that defender as he's rolling over. You're right again, Gene. Thank you. It is a 1st and goal, a turnover nonetheless.
5-0. Yeah, 36. Springer. Hurry, cut.
It's Chubb. And he's down to maybe the 6-yard line, and falling on him down there, Andrew Billings on a gain of a yard.
We're looking at Andy Dalton's right hand.
That is not good. Yeah,
he's going to head to the locker room, maybe get an X-ray. You see Jeff Driscoll, his backup, has already started warming up on the sidelines.
Driscoll last played in that New Orleans game here a couple of weeks ago, Rich.
Well, this is not good for the Bengals, and Dalton was holding that hand as he was walking off the field. I don't know if it's a thumb or a hand injury, but nonetheless, bad news for Dalton and the Bengals.
2nd down, goal at the 6. Chubb out of the backfield, but Mayfield has other designs to the back of the end zone. Caught with a touchdown, Darren Fells. Rookie quarterback Baker Mayfield has thrown 4 touchdown passes today in Cincinnati.
This is good looking. You're going to see the tight end is going to work all the way across the field. But just again, watch the patience of Baker Mayfield. He's feeling this tight end on the back line as he works to his right. He just feels Darren Fells, and just a good throw from the rookie signal caller. And again, the patience today from Baker Mayfield has been so impressive, Kevin, especially down in the red zone.
Joseph gets the extra point. Another takeaway by the defense. And then Baker Mayfield to the back of the end zone on a touchdown pass. Aaron Fells was a starting tight end last season for the Detroit Lions, joining as an unrestricted free agent the Browns this offseason.
That's a pretty good looking report card right there. My gosh.
So Dalton is in the locker room. Here is the kickoff to Cincinnati in the end zone and out to the 25 and a touchback. So the quarterback is Jeff Driscoll, who is 6 of 7 this year. 84 yards through the air. A touchdown run against New Orleans a couple weeks ago. And again, the injury to Dalton, we think, to the right hand.
Yeah, really tough to tell exactly where it happens. And I saw him holding that right hand, and could be the right thumb. You just never know. But unfortunately, Dalton gets caught in a compromising position, and now it opens the door for Jeff Driscoll, who finds himself under center behind 35-7 to start the second half.
Here they go to Mixon. Lead blocked by Obrahe. Forced out of bounds by Peppers. Works his way for a couple. Let's give him 3 to the 28. We know that Dalton has had hand injuries in the past. He's missed a season a couple of years ago. The day for Mixon. And one of those carries was for 32 yards at the end of the first half. Jeff Driscoll on 2nd down and 7. Almost picked off by Collins. It was right in his hands. Incomplete. 3rd and 7 upcoming.
Well, here's Collins, and all he's going to do is just going to run out in front of the tight end. He's covering the tight end on this little stick route, and Driscoll's very fortunate that Jamie Collins didn't score with this one because it hits him right in the hands.
Back in 2015, Dalton hurt that right thumb, missed the end of the 2015 season. 3rd down and 7. Bernard in the backfield and offers a block for Driscoll, who goes down the sideline for Ross, and it's incomplete with the coverage by T.J. Carey.
Kevin, as a quarterback, I can tell you that you don't leave the sideline and go into the locker room either to get an X-ray or an MRI if it's nothing serious. I mean, you know, as a quarterback, your throwing hand, if it's a bruise, if something's swollen, you landed awkwardly on it, if it's something significant, you felt something happen, that's really the only reason you'd leave the field. And we know Dalton's as tough as they come. He doesn't miss starts, he doesn't miss snaps, so it had to be fairly significant for him to leave the field.
Huber with the punt, and Callaway is deep in on a winless, basically a winless afternoon from the 24. Hang time of 4:03. And here comes the rookie receiver out of Florida, Antonio Callaway. 6-yard return, 48-yard punt. Here comes Mayfield. Here come the Browns on CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by KFC's new Chicken and Waffles, the most delicious union of all time, limited time only. The Home Depot, more saving, more doing. And by Honda. Hurry into the Happy Honda Days sales event today.
There was a player down on the return. It's Tony McRae. They have got a stretcher out there, and they're working on his neck.
Well, here's T.J. Carey, and he's blocking McRae, and he leads with the helmet and hits him right in the chin. And he goes down immediately. So that's where the hit happened, and it looks like the officials just didn't see it.
We have seen his legs move as they were looking at him, and they were trying to work on the helmet. And is the norm in the NFL when a player is down, especially a player that plays at the kind of speed with which McRae does. The players usually take a knee, and that is what has happened here.
We talk about this all the time. You know, for every game they provide at least 30 game day medical staff professionals. Really, they cover these players from head to toe. You got neurotrauma consultants, you got orthopedists, all out there in an effort to keep these players safe.
Tony McCray is a second-year player out of North Carolina A&T from Laurinburg, North Carolina. And they have flipped him over. They've taken off his face mask. You can see it there on the right. They check the vitals immediately. These are emergency trained people that go out on the field for injuries such as this.
They actually have the ability now to monitor the broadcast and the audio feeds of each game and notify the officials on the field of possible head, neck, or spine injury.
Steve Tasker's on our sideline this afternoon.
Yeah, you can. Interestingly enough, I mean, these two teams, division rivals. There's a lot of familiarity between these two coaching staffs and the players. You see, even the Browns' offense is ready to take a snap, is down on one knee, and it's never a good sign when your teammates gather around. It's certainly not a good sign when they actually use, an apparatus to get you off the field. And the only positive is, and we've seen this at other occasions, is that they're always hopefully overly cautious when taking a player off like this. We did see him move his legs.
Yes, we can see him move his right hand, Steve, and his right thumb.
But it's as you said, Rich, there's a lot of very qualified and very competent people looking after him right now.
Well, he's got that right thumb up and the left thumb up now, and that's good to see from Tony McCray. We just hate to see a player carted off the field.
This is the third injury today for the Cincinnati Bengals. Their starting quarterback is still in the locker room, Andy Dalton. They're taking a look at his right hand. There goes McCray, and they've lost their starting left tackle today, who was Jake Fisher, who was taking the place of the injured Cordy Glenn. Fisher is out. Ogbuehi is taking his place, the third in line left tackle. So costly day. Driscoll is in there now talking with the offensive coordinator, Bill Lazor. And after the Cincinnati punt, it's Cleveland 1st and 10 in a day that Baker Mayfield has thrown 4 touchdown passes. Nick Chubb coming around, making the stop. Jordan Willis. It is a gain of 1. He's out to the 31.
And if you're the Browns, it's no time to pump the brakes. I think you want to continue to be aggressive, play smart, but really not change up the game plan. Your quarterback, your young quarterback, is playing so well. Don't take the ball out of his hands.
On that last play, the center, J.C. Treader, was limping and limps back to the line. 64, starter all season. He's playing with a high ankle sprain, is Treader today.
Good. 180. What's up?
Second down and 9, Chubb. Then taken down behind the line of scrimmage, and that time it was Andrew Billings throwing him for a loss of 2. Let's go downstairs again to Steve.
Yeah, as you might imagine, Tony McCray taken right off the field, and they put him right onto an ambulance to be taken for evaluation at one of the medical centers here nearby. And there was no hesitation at all. That word was given on the field, and it'll probably be a few hours before we get any real notification as to how serious his injury is.
Steve, thank you. 3rd down and 11. Duke Johnson is in now. He'll be the slot atop your screen. 3rd down, 11 to go. They need the 40. Mayfield, nice block by Robinson, left tackle. That goes incomplete. And they looked, I think, in Landry's direction, but the defense holds him right there. And here comes the first punt of the day. And I can't believe I'm saying this. The first punt of the day for the Cleveland Browns. And Colquitt has punted as much as any punter in the NFL. This will be his 65th punt of the season.
No, he's stealing a paycheck today, Kevin. That's what the players say. If you don't play, you're stealing a paycheck. But he's been fortunate. The offense has been so productive.
Britton Colquitt, 33-year-old punter, and he'll bang this one. Erickson is under it at about the 23. Making 1 tackle. Brought down on the play by Cleveland's Phillip Gaines. Hang of 4-8. 48-yard punt, 3-yard return, timeout in Cincy. Jeff Driscoll, a 3-year veteran out of Louisiana Tech, who was claimed off waivers from San Francisco back in 2016, is in for the injured Dalton. 1st and 10, outside Boyd. Good read on it, knocked down by Settle. Anthony Zettel makes the stop, throwing him for a loss of the yard back to the 24.
Well, Jeff Driscoll hasn't had a lot of opportunities to play for the Cincinnati Bengals because if you look at how healthy Andy Dalton has been. Dalton hasn't, I think it's gone 6 of 7 seasons without missing a single game, and so obviously this guy hasn't had a lot of reps in the offense.
Driscoll began at the University of Florida. Second down, 11. Lot of traffic, and down he goes. Hit on the play. A couple were in there. Brian Price and Emmanuel Ogbah. It's the first sack, and he's back to about the 18 of Cincinnati.
Well, look at the push that comes off the edge from Ogbah. I mean, he's just walking the right tackle, Hart, right back into the lap of Jeff Driscoll.
While the quarterback was in the pocket, holding, defense, number 38. 5-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
That's on T.J. Carey. So they'll put the ball at the 29. Again, Carey, signed from Oakland as an unrestricted free agent, had fallen back at Terrence Mitchell, but then Mitchell broke a wrist, the Kansas City signee, and Carey is the cornerback and has started the last couple games. 1st and 10, Mixon. And tripped up by Zettel among a couple, and a gain of 2 to the 32. So Driscoll begins to play for Will Muschamp at the University of Florida, transfers to Louisiana Tech. When he was a high school player in Florida, he was the high school player of the year in the state and a national high school player of the year at the quarterback position from the Maxwell Club.
He's a pretty good little athlete.
Yes,
he can run around, he can extend plays. He's got plenty of arm talent to make all the throws in his offense.
With a 2nd down and 7 right here, Driscoll goes underneath and Uzama, who then is tripped up by Schobert. Pro Bowl last year. Gain of 6 on 2nd and 7, brings up 3rd and 1 from the Rich 38-yard line.
We were talking about Driscoll last week, Kevin, as we did the Ravens game, because all week in practice he was trying to be Lamar Jackson.
Right.
And he was running that zone read and the option, and now he's in there taking snaps, and you know he's much more of a pure drop back passer, you know, much like Andy Dalton, but he does have some quicks, and he can extend some plays and make some plays off the scramble.
4 in the secondary for the Browns. 3rd and 1. Mixon hit by Emmanuel Ogbah, gaining 3 and gaining a 1st down. He's out to the 41-yard line. Steve Tasker's on the sideline.
Yeah, just a word on Tony McRae. We're being told it was a concussion and he's ruled out for this game. No further word on that, but obviously he got knocked and was, if not unconscious, certainly incapacitated for a few minutes, so they were more than cautious, took him away. He is at a medical facility nearby, but he is out for today with a concussion.
Steve, thank you. 1st and 10. Here comes Driscoll. Brady with a block. Also, there was a block out there by Bowling, and that opens up some room for Mixon, who's brought down by Schobert at the 50-yard line. A catch and run, Rich, of 9.
I just think that you've got to find creative ways to get the ball into the hands of a guy like Joe Mixon. There's a good opportunity there in the screen game. He's become a much better player in the passing game. He's become a better route runner and a more trusted personal protector for Andy Dalton.
Browns last play 2 weeks ago against Atlanta, beat the Falcons 28-16. Driscoll, 2nd down, 1, Mixon. And he had that side sealed off by Carey and Zettel over there. There is no gain on the play.
One of the things you see when you watch this defense play is the corners, the run support. You watch Carey. See how quickly he shows up in run support? What they do is they pinch. They pinch the corners pre-snap when they know that they have help over the top, especially to the wide field.
So more run support from the corners than normal, would you say?
Absolutely. And then you can't play cornerback for Greg Williams unless you're a willing participant in the run game.
Driscoll now a 3rd and 1. And he's got the crossing Boyd, who gets the 1st down. Carey is there, Zettel is there, gain of 10, put him at the 40-yard line of Cleveland.
I think 18 of his 3rd down receptions, 17 of them have gone for 1st downs. He's seen a lot more double coverage the last couple of weeks because of A.J. Green's absence. It's made it difficult on Bill Lazor to dial up some plays to get him some touches.
One thing Lazor told us the other day is that the receivers have got to be where they're supposed to be, Rich. Sounds like that's been an issue.
Well, it is when you've got a lot of young players getting extended playing time and not always doing the right thing.
Nixon with the 1st and 10 handoff. Alex Redmond with the block. Unleashes him for 7 down to the 33. Tonight on CBS, a helping hand is heaven sent in a new episode of God Friended Me. Tonight after 60 minutes, only CBS.
Well, really 4-down territory the rest of the way once you get in the plus territory, I think, for the Bengals today.
2nd down 3.
Ooh, good job with the hard count.
Javon Coley was climbing through.
Encroachment. Defense, number 93. 5-yard penalty. 1st down.
He's right on the center. He should be watching the football the whole way, and you see Greg Williams not at all happy. The thing I like about Greg Williams, he's a straight shooter. He's never going to sugarcoat things. He's going to tell you exactly how he feels and what's on his mind.
And he's always talking about others. He's very unselfish. He doesn't put a lot of the spotlight on him.
And I think players respect that, Kevin. The fact that he's willing to tell players and be honest with the players.
9th play of the drive, 1st and 10. Driscoll all down the seam. Touchdown! Boyd! What a throw! 28-yard strike by backup quarterback Jeff Driscoll.
This is a really good-looking throw by Driscoll. Just watch how he fits this one in. This is a great-looking throw. Just watch the squeeze right here. And he's able to fit that ball right in between those 2 linebackers, dropping with depth in zone coverage.
Rich, there's something about a quarterback who kind of has to go into a game and suddenly, and not having to think too much and too long with the extra point here by Bullock, that can serve his purpose, right?
Yeah, right. This is his job. He doesn't get hardly any reps during the season, but in a moment's notice, Jeff Driscoll has to be ready to perform, and he answers the bell right there.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by Dell and the XPS 13 with Dell Cinema.
Well, the Division I high school football state semifinals in Ohio were held this past Friday. Next week's championship game will feature Colerain High School out of Cincinnati taking on Lakewood St. Edward, located just a few miles outside of Cleveland. At the kickoff, left in the end zone, touchback to the 25-yard line with the 1st and 10. All right, coming up on Saturday, 4 Eastern, the SEC Championship on CBS, featuring number 1 Alabama and 5th-ranked Georgia, a rematch of last year's national championship game. Kick off your day with a drive to Atlanta beginning at 2:30 Eastern. Then college football today, right here on CBS. 4 touchdown passes by Mayfield, no picks, 251 through the air. He's coming off the best game of his career against Atlanta. This is his best game now. Hand off to Chubb, a block by DeValve, and out of bounds he is forced by Sean Williams. Seth DeValve with the lead block. And they'll spot the ball at the 30 on a gain of 5.
I really like how they use these tight ends in the offense. You mentioned DeValve and pulling around and helping for Chubb, and you look at offensive coordinator Freddie Kitchens. The time he spent with Bruce Arians as an assistant in Arizona, they cherish that tight end position.
Another player down for the Bengals. And is that Denard?
Yeah, they can't afford to lose Denard. They're already without their best cover corner in Drake Kirkpatrick.
Yeah, he's replacing Kirkpatrick today, exactly. And he's holding on to he had a calf injury, Denard did, coming in. And you can see the man there on his knee is talking on a wireless to the sideline. And Denard wants to be hoisted up. So the Cleveland Browns have their first 3-win season since 2015. Coming off a bye, as we talked about. Began the season 2-2-1, then 4 straight losses. Beat Atlanta 28-16. To the Bengals, though, Rich, they have lost 7 straight coming into today. Cleveland has.
Well, they got a chance to right the ship and get a road win. And you look at the secondary. And as a quarterback, Kevin, when I know that Dre Kirkpatrick's not playing, and I just watched Darqueze Dennard go off the field, and I see Russell come in, I'm going to take a shot. I'm going to try and go after him and find out just how ready he is to play.
Cavari Russell is in. 2nd down and 5. They go the other way, and there's a pass to Jarvis Landry.
He's been quiet today, the 3-time Pro Bowler.
Gain of 7, Rich.
Led the league in receptions last year with 112. 400 receptions in his first 4 seasons. They liked him enough to go out and trade with Miami.
Last season, Rich, he had the most receptions in the NFL, 112. That was just under 1,000-yard season for the Dolphins.
Well, he's their best receiver, certainly the most experienced receiver, and a guy that they like to get and push the ball down the field. He's got terrific straight line speed.
It's a 1st down. It's Chubb. Lead block right there by Orson Charles, and hey, there goes a flag. Gain of 3 out near the 39-yard line. There's Charles. We mentioned before that he was an original 4th-round pick by the Bengals back in 2012.
He's going to stick his nose in there. He's trying to get a block. Someone goes low on him, and then he pushes at the end of the pile. Actually, takes a little extra cheap shot at Russell, and then there's some pushing and shoving. You see the safety Jesse Bates come in there late. Now the officials trying to sort through the mess. Usually get the second guy. Usually get the last guy in there that's pushing and shoving. That's the one the officials usually catch.
That's what you usually were, weren't you?
I'm the late guy. Yeah, I'm not a sucker punch kind of guy, Kevin. I like the guy.
After the play was over, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, defense.
What'd I say? It's always the second guy.
It is.
15-yard penalty, automatic.
First down. Geno Atkins.
Geno Atkins. Atkins has been kind of quiet, hasn't he, Rich? He's got 7 sacks, had 1.
Yeah, they've got to play better inside.
Yeah.
Look, I like Geno Atkins, Ken. I think he's a terrific player. But you look at Geno Atkins, you look at Dunlop Johnson, this group, and you say to yourself, how in the world are they 32nd, dead last in total defense, dead last in run defense, 31st in pass defense and scoring defense with the group that they have? Now, in fairness, they've been decimated at the linebacker position with injuries, but this group hasn't dominated and controlled the line of scrimmage like they have in the past. I think, to me, that's one of the most disappointing things that Marvin Lewis has had to deal with, not only as the head coach, but now as a defensive play caller.
180! What's up?
Mayfield with 4 in the secondary. This is a handoff with DeVal blocking. Run by Chubb, also a block by Batonio. Gain of 5. More shoving after the play. Down to the 41-yard line. Perfect is there. And others. Let's take you to our CBS studios in New York, and here is James.
Nate, you said don't sleep on Jackson.
Don't sleep or he'll wake you up. Hitting right there, micro Crabtree right there for the 8-yard slant route. The Ravens, they lead 27-17.
Kevin, Rich, and Steve.
Nate, thank you. We were at that Cincy-Baltimore game, Rich, last week, and running all over the defense of the Bengals was Lamar Jackson.
Good to see him throwing the football to a former Raider. Crabtree.
2nd down and 5. He's held and brought down. Dunlap had a hand full of jersey. Atkins jumps on him too. Flags are thrown. First sack, and it's back to the 49-yard line.
That's a good-looking rush from Carlos Dunlap. He just gets him with his right hand. He initially gets blocked by the tight end, and then the tight end turns him loose.
Defense, number 55.
Jeez.
5-yard penalty,
perfect.
automatic. First down.
Perfect will pick up the penalty.
Here's Vontez Perfect right in the middle of the field. He's frustrated right now. He's just going to grab a hold of the tight end. You just can't do that.
Browns offense today has not allowed a sack. And in fact, they have not allowed a sack in the last 6 quarters. That sack right there wiped away because of the penalty. So now it's at the 36. That's 1st and 10.
Set. 40. 4 shots.
A run here by Chubb. Climbing over traffic and kind of tripped up over all of that and gains 3 head first to the 32, 33-yard line.
And this is what Baker Mayfield and Freddie Kitchens talked about last night is jumping off to a fast start, building a lead, and then relying on that running game to finish off the Bengals.
Bengals are coming off a loss last week at Baltimore, 24-21. They've lost 2 straight, 4 of 5. They're 5-5, one of 5 AFC teams at 500. 2nd down and 7.
180. What's up?
Nick Chubb wrapped up, hit by Niles Scott. They signed him Thursday off the Denver practice squad and allow no gain on the play.
And when you're struggling to stop the run, you've got to start playing some 8-man front football. You've got to be able to bring the safety down around the line of scrimmage. No one blocks Sean Williams, and that makes things very difficult on Chubb, and that's why he bounces that one to the right.
Nick Chubb, 3rd straight start, 4 starts in the last 5 games. 3rd and 7. Duke Johnson is in right now. And around, look out, here comes Williams, and down goes Perriman. Boy, they sniffed out that, read that well, and Williams led the charge, losing 13 yards.
Well, this is on the quarterback because the end man on the line of scrimmage who made the play before the safety, Sean Williams, he lines up there. So as the quarterback, you can't run an end around or reverse right into an unblocked defender on the line of scrimmage. That's just a mistake, a kind of a missed assignment by Baker Mayfield. Sean Williams back-to-back big plays for that Bengals defense.
Rich, that knocked him out of field goal range too. Here's their punting unit, which will send it away at the beginning of the 4th. We're through 3. Mayfield, 4 touchdown passes today. 258 through the air for the Browns. We mentioned a couple times, certainly lost 25 consecutive road games. This Cleveland, it's the longest in NFL history, and back at Detroit, which lost 26. So a loss today, and they would tie. But they lead 35-14. Punting now as we go to the 4th and starting here in Cincinnati. This will be inside the 10. And a beauty by the Cleveland punter, Britton Colquitt. He's got 30 inside the 20-yard line. Number 1 in the NFL. That was a 39-yarder.
Well, look at this last road win. You've got to go all the way back to the 5th week of 2015, a 33-30 overtime win. Josh McCown was incredible. I think he threw for over 400 yards in that one. Probably his best game, and Mike Pettin pretty excited after the overtime victory. But you look at that, the longest road losing streaks in NFL history, and if they can get a win here today, they'd go off the snide and not join the Detroit Lions.
Travis Kuhn kicked that game-winning 32-yarder in Baltimore many games ago. Driscoll, Mixon, 1st and 10. And he was brought down in the play by Schobert. Schobert makes the stop, gain of 6, up to the 11. Let's go to Steve.
And after that last touchdown drive when Jeff Driscoll hit Tyler Boyd for the touchdown, Tyler Boyd spiked that football up against the back wall of the end zone. Turned around, Jeff Driscoll was asking him for the football. That was Jeff Driscoll's first touchdown pass as a pro. The ball went into the stands. They eventually got it, brought it down, for them. And he gets to keep it.
Good for them, and a good story, Steve. Thanks. First NFL touchdown, something you don't forget. 2nd down and 4. We have a false start. Rich, I'm sure you remember your first NFL touchdown pass.
I can tell you, I don't have the ball. I doubt Steve Tasker has his first. Steve, do you have your first touchdown catch?
No.
No.
In fact, you have to remind me that I actually even had one.
Oh, come on.
It was so long ago.
Now, come on, that's not right.
So the question is, how did Steve Tasker have his first touchdown? Was it a reception? Was it a run? Was it a blocked punt? A recovered punt in the end zone? I mean, a couple different ways that Steve Tasker could have done it.
I think I did catch it. I think it was a touchdown catch. I didn't block a punt, but somebody else returned that for a touchdown. So, it's been like 2 decades, 3 decades. So
You are old. 2nd down 9 for Uzomah. Ward was there. A flag was thrown. We should note, as we usually do, that Steve is a 7-time Pro Bowl player in the NFL with his special teams. Played with those great Buffalo teams, went to the Super Bowls. Marv Levy was his coach, and Steve is as great a special teams player as this game is known. Lucky enough to have him on our sideline. He's got a son who plays in the CFL.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness. Defense, number 21. Contact on a defenseless receiver. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
That is on rookie Denzel Ward.
Well, he lowers his helmet right here at the end and just catches a ball of Uzomah right in the side of the head, the temple area, and you can't take aim to initiate contact. Important to see what you hit.
We just got word that Andy Dalton is out for the rest of the game. Right thumb. That is not a good sign. The way he was holding it, his emotion on the sideline. First down and 10. Mixon, big hole. Look at him swerving. Look for a block from Rawson from behind. He is brought down by Demarius Randall. Nice move of 17. A gallop takes him to the 39 for Mixon.
Well, good movement at the point of attack, and then you just watch Mixon. He's just going to wind this thing all the way back. Right here. You just see it. Boom. Really a good look and crease and a great acceleration and burst from Mixon.
Mixon's got 89 yards on the ground rush, 14 carries. Aided that way with the first half 32-yard run. 2 tight ends, 1st and 10. Driscoll getting time and finds Mixon, who is held by Jamie Collins and finished off by Brian Body Calhoun after a gain of 7 to the 46.
If they get a quick score here, it's just a 2-score game. And you look at the Browns' offense through the 3rd quarter, Kevin, they've got just 16 yards of offense on 12 plays. I mean, it's just been a bunch of punts.
Yep, 2 straight punts. After scoring touchdowns in their first 5 possessions. 2nd down and 3. Jeff Driscoll's going to get a block by Obuehi, but they'll scramble and then get out of bounds and shoved over there by Trevine Coley.
And there's the athleticism that you see from Driscoll.
Gain of a yard, 47-yard line.
And he feels the pressure coming from behind, and that's Myles Garrett, and he's got the wherewithal to get on his horse, try and get that first down. You can just see the explosiveness and the little bit of a high step there from Driscoll.
Kendra just about got him. Giovanni Bernard is in as usual on 3rd down passing plays. 3rd down and 2. Also got Boyd back there. Driscoll. Here comes Garrett. There goes Boyd. Brought down by Body Calhoun. First down with the lunge. Gain of 3 near midfield. Let's go to our CBS studios with Nate. Here's James Brown.
Michelle and Michelle.
That's right, set up by Michelle on a 33-yard run. Sonny Michelle right down the gut as the Pats pull away right now, 27-13.
Kevin and Rich, if you think there's some challenges with Gruden and Carr, you should be in the studio. My gosh. Back to Kevin Harlan.
Okay.
I've been in the middle of them, JB. I'm telling you, with Gruden.
1st and 10. With the handoff. Oh, look at that plowing move. Great move. He literally carried a pile. And that was Giovanni Bernard for 10 and a first down to the 40 of Cleveland.
It looked like they're pushing the cart. Just watch at the end of this Uzomah. Just watch him turn it now. Watch, he just blocking the dummy, the blocking sled. He just knocks everyone forward. Great effort there by the tight end.
Take to Bernard with a flag.
Illegal snap. Offense, number 53. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Illegal snap. You don't hear that much, do you?
I don't know if he double clutched it or if
must have. Cincinnati's got 9 penalties. That ties a season high.
Yeah, you can't really tell unless he did something prior to the movement of the football.
Mixon is back in. We have the 1st and 15. Hart with the block at the right tackle. Great catch by Boyd. Brought down by Schobert. And look where they are. The 23 of Cleveland with a lot of time and a 22-yard throw by Jeff Driscoll.
A really nice looking throw by Driscoll, Kevin. He's throwing a couple darts now in the middle of the field. Great anticipation there. Good reaction from Tyler Boyd.
4 in the secondary. 1st and 10. Garrett will drive off the one side. That's dropped by Ross with the coverage by Ward. Incomplete. 2nd down and 10.
Well, you can't have the drops and the unforced errors as you're trying to come back. But I like what I've seen from Jeff Driscoll. He's come in and short notice and really responded and been able to handle the offense. Bill Lazor's gone a little bit of up tempo here, jumping the football a little bit, and clearly he shows that he can handle it.
Boyd with 7 catches and 85 yards. 2nd down and 10. In the nickel, Driscoll. And drops there. Tate. Auden Tate, a rookie out of Florida State, who caught his first pass last week against Baltimore. Gone to him a couple times today in the end zone. 3rd down and 10 for Cincinnati.
This is what we've been talking about the entire game. Without A.J. Green on the field, some of these younger players are going to have to step up and make some plays. You look at Auden Tate with a drop there. You look at John Ross a couple plays before with a drop, and just not getting enough production from some of those younger players at the wide receiver position on this Cincinnati roster.
Mixon has had a 17-yard run. Bernard a 10-yard run. Boyd a 22-yard catch on this 11-play drive. 3rd down and 10. Here comes Garrett. Down goes Driscoll. Boy, they were running all over him that time, weren't they? That's a loss of 13 back to the 36-yard line.
Well, he just beats the left tackle right out of his stance. I mean, we talk about this suddenness with a pass rusher like Myles Garrett. He's got those long arms and heavy hands to control an opponent. He's a game changer who can dominate with his combination of speed, quickness, and power off the edge.
10 sacks this season for Garrett. Top 10 in the NFL.
4th and 22, and they're going to... How deep that...
They need the 13-yard line. Here comes Driscoll. And he'll go deep, jumping into the end zone. Intercepted. Picked off on the play by Derek Kindred. Stopping the drive of the Bengals. A hobbling Driscoll, and a flag has been thrown.
Well, you can't fault Driscoll. He's got to give him a chance.
Personal foul. Roughing the passer. Defense.
Automatic
number
first
55.
down.
15-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
That's the rookie Jannard Avery out of Memphis with the hit on Driscoll.
Oh, he goes low.
Yeah,
that's why they
low.
got him. Boy, that was a big mistake there. Now that's how people get hurt.
Look at the knee, the right leg.
I saw a hit like that on Carson Palmer in a playoff game.
And you know what happened there,
right here, and of course that's why they changed the rule. Carson Palmer got hit.
Was that Kimo von Oelhoffen?
It sure was, and that was what that was an ACL tear for Carson Palmer.
To New York, and our rules analyst Gene Steratore. What do you think? What'd you see, Gene?
Must call those plays, guys. Those are safety fouls, and as you said, that very similar to Carson Palmer hit a few years ago. That always has to be called roughing the passer.
Screen on 1st and 10. Gene, thank you. Mixon has it. It is a gain of 6 on the play, and he was hit by a couple. Ogunjobi was the one who got him initially.
Clearly, this momentum has flipped in a big way in favor of the Bengals, Kevin. They're controlling time of possession. They're making plays, and Driscoll has provided a spark for this Cincinnati offense.
With Mixon in the backfield, second down and 4. Driscoll, Hart with the block at the right tackle, and a line drive shot takes him to the 1. Ross caught it. They say he's down. Big hit, a 13-yard reception.
Boy, I've really been impressed with Driscoll's deliberateness. I mean, he fits this thing in there. He just forces this one into John Ross. He's made some really good accurate throws in some really tight windows.
First and goal at the 2. Driscoll being pushed across. Did he hit the ground? Was he rolling on bodies? That is a touchdown. 2-yard touchdown run. He never hit the ground. He rolled on bodies. And the Bengals have scored for a second consecutive possession.
And he's going to get an assist from Joe Mixon, who comes in at the end and kind of pushes him over. You see right there, there's a bit of a big pile of bodies, and then all of a sudden at the end there, watch Mixon. He's going to come up from behind and take his buddy and help him over the goal line there. See him pushing?
You see a lot of that now, Rich. Little help, little shove. He'll do anything to score. A 2-yard touchdown run by Driscoll. It's his second in the last couple games. He had one here against New Orleans, which was much longer. That's his second touchdown run of the season. First today. He's also thrown his first career touchdown pass. Has Driscoll. Now the extra point. 7:57 to go in the 4th. Bullock. We had an earlier field goal blocked, and this hits the upright. He's had a bad day. One blocked, extra point missed, 15-point game, and that says something. It's an important miss, but Driscoll takes it in. With the injured Andy Dalton in the locker room and not returning, the backup takes it in for 6. Good numbers for Driscoll, and Rich. He's led drives of 75 and 94 yards and gotten 2 touchdowns out of each.
When I look at his production, it tells me he's done his work. Kevin, he studied, he prepared, he was ready for this opportunity. Step in at a moment's notice with very few, if any, reps.
Here's Bullock who missed the extra point. There have only been 3 successful onside kicks this season. Here's a little chipper. It's going to go to the receiver. That is Callaway. He'll hit the deck. Shy of the 20 at about the 16 on a return of 7. Driscoll today taking the place of the injured Andy Dalton.
He's been very impressive, very decisive back there in the pocket. He's made some really incredible contested throws in some really tight windows. And he's not shy. I mean, he sees it, he pulls the trigger. I've really been impressed with him. That's why you pay these backup quarterbacks the money. This kid's earning it today. He's certainly earned the respect of his teammates and his coaching staff to be able to come in here in a very difficult situation, down 35-7 in the second half.
Bengals have scored 13 unanswered points. 1st and 10, Mayfield. Chubb looking for a block. Calling on him with the linebacker, Jordan Evans. They get to the 20. Let's take you to New York. And let's go to James Brown.
Suggs is swift.
That's right. Derek Carr stepping up in the pocket. Matthew Judon will knock this ball out. And check out the scoop and score by Terrell Suggs, also known as T-Sizzle. How do you know a defense is cooking? Because you can hear the sizzle, baby. This is a touchdown right here. The Ravens, they lead 34-17.
Back to a sizzling Kevin, Rich, and Steve.
And the Raiders starting 2 rookies at tackle on the road against that defense. That's a recipe for disaster.
Second down, 7. Chubb. Perfect. Sean Williams combined on the stop. A gain of 3. Rich out to the 23-yard line. Timeouts, 3 apiece. We're just crossing 7 to play in the 4th.
You know, it's really difficult in this game to be able to flick a switch and turn it back on. You know, they've been padding a lead here in the second half. They've not had a lot of success offensively in the third quarter and beginning of the fourth quarter, and yet now they're in a critical situation. Ahead by 2 scores, they need to convert a 3rd down here.
Duke Johnson is the slot receiver. Bottom of the screen, 3rd and 3. Robinson with the block, and that was intended with a nice knockaway by Bates. That was intended for receiver Rashard Higgins. It's incomplete. It's 3 and out. Here comes the punting unit for Cleveland.
Really nice coverage by the safety, Bates. He's man-to-man coverage on Rashad Higgins, and this would have taken a perfect throw. Look at the extension there by Bates. Wow.
The punter is Colquitt. Deep back for Erickson. At the 22, hang time of 4-1. Finding a seam and good position. Tackled by Hewlett, who is the long snapper. 23-yard return, 56-yard punt. 6:12 to play.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Lowe's, Buffalo Wild Wings. Try our game day menu. And by Ram Trucks, built to serve.
Those are some happy guys. They're still around, the survivors. Best starting position for Cincinnati. Andy Dalton is out with the right hand injury. It's old his thumb, will not return. Driscoll is in. He's led him for 13 unanswered points. First down and 10 after the punt. And what a... Well, it was dropped right there by Tate. Almost a spectacular catch by Auden Tate, the rookie out of Florida State. Second down and 10.
Well, he makes a terrific adjustment. He's got it for a split second. He's just not able to squeeze it and bring it in.
Well, the Bengals have had 3 fourth-quarter comeback wins this season. Rich, you and I saw one here against Miami.
Down 17-0 and came back in the fourth quarter.
Second down and 10. Driscoll underneath. This is Joe Mixon. Brought down by Schobert. In on the play by Peppers. It's a gain of 11. It's a first down to the 46.
You see him pick up the tempo. And Kevin, you mentioned those 3 fourth-quarter comebacks. All with Dalton under center against the Colts, the Falcons, and the Dolphins. And now it's Driscoll's turn here late in the fourth against Cleveland.
First down and 10, 3 timeouts Cincinnati, and that is incomplete. Over the head of Uzama. He was covered on the play by Jabril Peppers.
Good coverage by Peppers.
Second down and 10.
Somebody has to win against man-to-man coverage. You see a lot of zone coverage typically from a Greg Williams coach defense this year, and yet in a critical situation they're playing a little bit more man-to-man. And part of the reason may be because A.J. Green's not out there. You don't have to worry about double on A.J. Green, and you're not as concerned about some of these other matchups.
Peppers is cramping. He's on the sideline. Kindred is in. Second down 10. Here they come around the side. Nice catch on a cross. That was grabbed by Cody Core. 6th catch of the year. 8-yard reception to the 38 of Cleveland. And again, no huddle. Rich, you love the urgency, don't you?
Yeah, I think it's the way to do it. I mean, you need 2 scores.
It's Uzama. Did he get the first? He was covered by Kindred.
The ball comes out of his hands as he's trying to reach it towards the first down marker.
It's close.
See here, just watch the ball's coming out.
He was the 3rd string tight end to begin the season. They've been so hit with injuries. But now he is number 1. Peppers, by the way, back in there in the secondary for the Browns. 4th and 1.
Oh, we got a false start.
Yep.
I think they got Tyler Boyd. I think they got Tyler Boyd in the slot.
You're right.
False start. Offense, number 83. 5-yard penalty.
Well, now it becomes 4th and 6 instead of 4th and 1.
Well, they're just making things difficult on themselves.
Then with the 3 timeouts, 13 unanswered scored by Cincinnati, who at one time trailed 35-7. 4th and 6. Driscoll Nice throw, caught by Bernard. Brought down on the play by Genard Avery. 12-yard gain on 4th and 6. Put him at the 30 of the Browns.
A nice route by Giovanni Bernard and terrific throw by Driscoll in a critical situation.
1st and 10. Garrett's coming from the side. Ball is away. Nice diving catch made by Tate in front of Carey. That's an 11-yard catch to the 19.
Talk about a large catch radius. Watch this adjustment again. We saw one earlier, just wasn't able to squeeze it. This time, Auden Tate is able to make the grab.
1st and 10. Some were moving and some weren't.
This is what happens sometimes. You've got a different quarterback in there with a little bit of a different cadence.
Number 68, 5-yard penalty, still 1st down.
Everyone moves except the center.
Season high penalties now for the Bengals. 11.
Look at Driscoll take control out there. Very comfortable in this hurry-up offense.
1st and 15. Bernard was coming out of the backfield. Uzama is the one to get it and dives to the 18. Hit by Carey. After initially getting whacked by Avery, it is a gain of 6. To the 18. 2nd down and 9.
Oh, Driscoll's unflappable. He just looks really good back there.
Bernard is by his side. 2nd down 9. Driscoll moves up niftily on the move. We know he can run. And there he goes, retreating to the sideline. He was out distancing Genard Avery. And he picks up 6 on the run.
Well, they're going to bring in internal pressure. And Driscoll, first of all, the back, you got to give him some credit for going over and making a block. And just watch the quarterback just take off. This is where he surprises you a little bit with his speed. Talked about his playmaking ability. Saw some of that in the preseason as you studied the Bengals.
3rd down and 3. Oh, somebody moved again.
I think they got Oblahi.
Start. Offense, number 70. 5-yard penalty.
That's Oblahi,
3rd down.
Who's taking the place of the starter Jake Fisher, who has taken the place of the inactive Cordy Glenn, who's out with the back.
Oblahi's actually held up pretty good, Kevin. He's had to sit out there all day and block Myles Garrett. He gave up the 1 sack, but other than that, he's kind of held up pretty well.
Rich, 5 penalties on the offense on this drive alone for Cincinnati.
A lot of them with the offensive
this
line.
half, excuse me.
You've got a false start. You've got a couple pre-snap penalties.
3rd down and 8. Driscoll, high, caught, Tate, covered by Ward. They pick up 4. They're down to the 13.
Well, you love taller receivers as a quarterback. Tate, 6'5". Now you got another critical 4th down.
Bernard remains. They need the 9. It's 4th and 4. And they had 3 timeouts. They're going to use one right here. So there's a lot of time. There are 2 timeouts for the Bengals. Their backup quarterback has moved them. He's got a touchdown pass of 28 and a touchdown run in the last 2 possessions on the Greg Williams defense of Cleveland.
Well, if you get a quick score here, I mean, you make it a 1-score game. And look at Cincinnati. They've got 2 timeouts left and the 2-minute warning, and their defense has actually played a whole lot better here in the second half. And you've got a quarterback in Jeff Driscoll that's come in and done a terrific job. He looks comfortable. He knows where his quick answer throws are. He's done a good job handling the protections and the checks at the line of scrimmage. He's playing fast from under center.
Nixon remains on the sideline. Bernard will be in there. 4th down and 4. What's a good 4th and 4 play here, Rich?
Well, I think you got to think about your best players. We always say in a critical situation, don't think about plays, think about players. And if I'm thinking about the best player, it's this guy in motion right there, Tyler Boyd. And he's got one-on-one coverage.
They need the 9. Driscoll and high and incomplete for Tate with the coverage on the play by Ward. There's no yellow on the field, and on downs it will go to Cleveland. The defense holds. 3:09 to go. Browns get the ball. They hold on 4th and 4.
Back and take a look at that fourth down. You've got press man-to-man coverage up top, and you've got off man-to-man coverage. And for some reason, Driscoll decides to throw it to Tate and not Tyler Boyd.
Chubb on 1st and 10. Picking and poking his way, and there he goes, galloping up the side. Brought down by Williams. And it looks like you might be able to put this one in the bank for the Browns. A 27-yard run for rookie Nick Chubb. He's up to the 40, and a timeout taken by Cincinnati. So they'll have one timeout and a stoppage at the 2-minute warning. And they're down by 15. Big day for Nick Chubb. CBS Super Bowl season continues with Game 2 of our NFL doubleheader coming up next. Most of you will see Pittsburgh, winners of 6 consecutive games, taking on Denver. Others will see Miami and Indy. Right here on the home of Super Bowl 53, CBS Sports. 27-yard run. Chubb.
How about that? Playing from behind a lot, not just this season, but going back the last couple seasons. They only have 23 yards of offense this half before that last run, and they've not been a good team in the fourth quarter in terms of time of possession. They're dead last in terms of controlling the ball in the fourth quarter.
3 timeouts, 1st and 10. Chubb continues to dig. And the extra effort gives them 5 up to the 45. Another timeout taken by Cincinnati. That is their last as he works his way to the 45-yard line.
You look at Chubb's numbers on the day, 27 carries for 84 yards. Not a great yards per carry average, but the fact of the matter is he's had 27 carries, 27 touches, and what that means in terms of time of possession and ball control football and physical football and helping those tackles. I give some credit to the job that man has done right there, Freddie Kitchens. He's put together a nice package of plays that the quarterback's comfortable with, and you look at the production from Baker Mayfield, Kevin, the last 3 games. He's thrown 12 touchdowns and just 1 pick.
Yes, he has. 4 touchdown passes today. Mayfield's got 17 for the season. 2nd down, 5. Bengals out of timeouts. Here comes Chubb, brought down by Ray, basically at the line of scrimmage. Maybe he fell forward for the length of a football, but that clock will tick. They'll have to get 1 snap off before the 2-minute warning. Look at Greg Williams and Rich. There's no hiding the fact, as we talked to Greg Williams last night, he would like to be the head coach and take the interim away from his title right now.
Yeah, this is not his first rodeo in terms of being around a sudden change before as an assistant coach. It's his 3rd time, actually. He was on that staff in Houston back in '94 when they fired Jack Pardee. He was on Jeff Fisher's staff in Los Angeles when he was fired in 2016, and then a couple weeks ago when they fired Hugh Jackson.
Mayfield hits the deck. That'll take us to the 2-minute warning. Falling down about the 37. Ray was there to get him on that 3rd and a short 6, losing 8 at the 2-minute warning from Cincinnati.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Verizon. The best unlimited is on Verizon, America's most awarded network. And by Walt Disney World Resort.
Well, the Browns been shoveling coal. There's no doubt about that with the game today and circling over their 4th win. Should they hold on? We're at the 2-minute warning. Cincinnati is down by 15. They're out of timeouts. And the punting unit is out there for the Cleveland Browns. Erickson is back inside the 20. Colquitt. Erickson, he's had some good punt returns today, this time from about the 17. He's got a lane, he's got some room, and he's brought down on the play. 35-yard return. All right, let's walk through what Driscoll's got in front of him here. Down by 15 and $1:47 to go.
Well, he's got to make something happen in a hurry. They really got to push the ball down the field. They can't afford to kind of dink and dunk with the situation with the score and obviously the time on the clock. But I've really been impressed with Jeff Driscoll today, Kevin. He's done a terrific job and coming in and with the injury to Andy Dalton. He's thrown the ball well. He's looked very comfortable. He's made some good decisions, and we've seen some great quarterback play out of some young quarterbacks today. Driscoll for the Bengals, and certainly Baker Mayfield's had his best performance as a professional, 258 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Bernard was in the backfield. It's a 1st and 10. It's incomplete. They were looking for Ross with Ward back there.
And this is what Driscoll's got to be able to do, push the ball down the field.
Stay tuned for the NFL Today update delivered by Pizza Hut. Time permitting, JB and Company. Scores, news, and highlights from a busy day.
You got to take some chances. You got to be aggressive. Throwing the ball away on the early downs, not the end of the world, stops the clock. You can't do in this situation is take a sack.
2nd down and 10. Right back up, and he has to throw it away.
Smart player.
Yeah.
I've been impressed with Driscoll. He understands situational football. He knows what to do in a critical situation. No sense of panic when you watch him play. And Bill Lazor, he's calling plays for quarterback Kevin that most likely didn't take a single snap in practice this week. And you've got all these plays on your call sheet for this situation in a game, and you love to have your best player out there, guy that can go get it, and A.J. Green. But for the 3rd straight week, he's nursing a toe injury and hasn't been available.
No timeouts for the Bengals. 3rd down and 10. Driscoll. And almost picked off by Carey. Incomplete. 4th down.
The receiver falls down, and there's no way that Driscoll can anticipate this. You look at Tate coming out of the break. He just stumbles, and Carey should have made that pick. It hits him right in the chest.
Rich, you look at a decimated tight end core of Cincinnati. No A.J. Green. Kind of like what Aaron Rodgers is facing in Green Bay. When you lose your weapons, regardless of who the quarterback is, it's going to inhibit you.
Well, that player right there is a transformational player. I mean, he's such a dynamic playmaker, and he's such a big part of what they do offensively. And when he's not out there, that impacts everybody. You know, you see teams double Tyler Boyd more. Oops.
Here comes Garrett. There goes Driscoll. They need the 40. Here comes the backup quarterback, heaving one deep, and it is caught! Caught by Boyd! Down to the 4! 46-yard gain. Flag has been thrown at the 50.
Well, Demarius Randall was there, and
I think it's on Cincinnati.
Peppers was there.
I think it's on the Bengals.
Well, that never should have happened. You had 2 defenders.
Illegal shift. Offense. All 11 players were never set prior to the ball being snapped. 5-yard penalty. Replay 4th down.
So now they're going to be pushed way back. 4th and 15. They still need the 40.
Well, they're not set. You watch the top of the screen, and the receivers at the top of the screen weren't set prior to the snap of that football. Just another critical mistake. Just not getting set. They've had a lot of pre-snap penalties. You wonder if some of it has to do with the cadence, a different cadence from the backup quarterback.
No timeouts. 4th and 15. Here we go. Driscoll gets out of the chaos. He's hit as he throws, and it was dropped by Uzama. The coverage on the play by Peppers. That is it. On downs, Mayfield, and the Browns will not only get the ball, but they'll get their 4th win. They have stopped a 25-game road losing streak, the 2nd longest in pro football history. They haven't won consecutive games since 2014. And the Browns, who are very much alive in the AFC wildcard race, will go to 4-6-1. And the Bengals will drop to 5-6. 3rd consecutive loss. They have lost 5 of their last 6 games, and they may have lost their starting quarterback, Andy Dalton. The victory formation, big day for Mayfield. 4 touchdowns, no picks, 258 through the air. Chubb had 84 on the ground, and Chubb had 44 receiving yards. Njoku had 63 receiving yards. He had a touchdown. Callaway had a touchdown reception. Chubb had a touchdown reception and run. And Darren Fells had a touchdown reception.
Well, regardless of what happens the rest of the way this season for the Browns, they've got to feel really good about their quarterback situation, Kevin. You look at Baker Mayfield, 19 of 26 today, 258 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. And that's the key stat, no interceptions. He took care of the football. He made some great plays, and he showed some real poise on the road in some critical situations.
The Browns offense, no turnovers, no sacks on Mayfield. No sacks for a second consecutive week.
Well, you keep the young quarterback clean and upright, and good things can happen. As you see Hugh Jackson, his former coach, going over there to congratulate Baker Mayfield.
Not much response from Mayfield.
No, not a lot of conversation there.
This is one of the great stories in this NFL. You put Mahomes in there, the resurgence of the Browns, another rookie, Chubb, taking his place is Greg Williams, who was hired by Hugh Jackson. Embrace Williams taking Jackson's job, fired less than a month ago as the Cleveland head coach. Jeff Driscoll coming in for the injured Andy Dalton, and that will be worth keeping track of as the night unfolds to see what that injury is. 35-20, the Cleveland Browns have won and go to 4-6-1. Up next, stay tuned for Game 2 of our doubleheader. Steelers, Broncos, or Dolphins and Colts. For Rich Gannon and Steve Tasker, Kevin Harlan saying so long from Cincinnati.